welcome to Dope Check, episode 32, live from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. As always, I'm here with Trei Zero, Tactical Rab, and myself, Ace the Stocksman, post Esports World Cup. Can tell you guys it's been phenomenal to be here, and as my boys are sitting next to me, it's a great time. How are we feeling? How's the vibe? What's going on?
It's good to be here, Ace. It's good to be here, chat. Wow, what a time we've had this last couple of days. In many ways, this has been like the cleanest event, the best one to be at all year. I mean, I've just had an unreal year of COD. Like the amount of events I've been able to go to this year, having this one like kind of out of nowhere at the end of the season. Obviously, it wasn't perfect in some ways, but obviously, shout out to FaZe getting us out here.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Kingdom. Getting us out here too. Yeah. And we're here at the FaZe booth.
As you can clearly tell. Yeah,
as you can tell, the setup we did the watch party from. And this is another thing, right? Usually, after the event ends, we've got to rip all this shit down. The venue's closing. We've got to be out of there the next day. Here, this setup continues for another whole week. It's been here for 8 weeks. So we've got the pleasure to be able to come back here today and run the show from this setup again.
Yeah.
Before I fly out of here at about midnight.
Yeah. Trey?
I mean, what more is there to say? Rab cleaned it up. Nah, it's shout out to FaZe for bringing us down there. I was on FaZe in 2019. Eric still had my phone number. He was like, yo, I want you in Saudi with the boys in 3 weeks. I said, yeah, all right, bet. Didn't have a passport or anything, but I still managed to make it work because that's just what I do. And the event was great. Let me tell you something about the hotel.
Oh my God. Should we talk about the hotel?
That was insane.
The hotel is insanity. The players thought they were living lavish. Well, let me tell you, the talent were living lavish.
Wow. The players are living over in the Hilton, I think. And we're in like insanely bougie hotel. 35th floor.
The Fairmont.
Yeah, but there's two Fairmont here.
But we're living in like the residences.
Yeah, the residences.
Where the big dogs live.
Yeah, the big dogs. Yeah, it's actually a crazy hotel.
And honestly, I felt like a big dog.
Yeah.
Every corner you turn is a bottle of water waiting for you.
That is also another point. It's not just bottles of water. They're in glass.
They're in glass.
And the breakfast.
The breakfast buffet's unbelievable, unreal, 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
You got a chef in every corner. You got a guy making espressos.
But you can't even get bored of the breakfast because they have like a whole buffet selection full of like, it's kind of English breakfast vibes, but obviously with the Middle Eastern twist on a lot of the things. Mm-hmm. And then you've got omelets. There's guys making omelets if you want. There's guys making waffles if you want.
Espressos, coffee, yogurt.
I mean, okay, I had porridge, yeah? Oatmeal. Dried kiwi, dried apricots, prunes, dates, pistachio nuts,
Wow,
maple syrup.
Ooh.
Like it's the whole selection, and that's like a third of it. And then I'm getting my juice. Usually it's just some orange juice from concentrate, watermelon juice pressed this morning.
Fresh watermelon juice, fresh orange juice, fresh. Yeah, it's just unbelievable.
You ask for apple juice, they say, we don't have apple juice. We have freshly pressed green apple juice.
Yeah,
and it comes with a froth on top.
No, it's been an insane experience. Obviously, we've got a lot to talk about today. I guess the first thing that we can go through really is, because we've kind of been touching on it, the state of the event, like what it's been like. I think it's probably worth talking a little bit about the actual facility that we're in.
Yeah.
Like, because it isn't just a venue. I think the venue that the COD players are in, I think the capacity is like 700. So it's a stage. You got the capacity crowd, and they actually had extra seats laid out on the Sunday.
I think it's a lot less than that. I think what we heard yesterday was
what the extra edition.
I don't think it was extra edition either.
Oh,
like if you think about it, there is not 500 seats.
Yeah,
on that side and that side. There's like probably like 200.
Yeah.
It's more of a sound stage, if anything. Like it's really a sound stage with like a little live audience watching, but it's more for the experience of creating a really good visual effect more than it is for people to watch. Really.
Yeah, and it's kind of what I was expecting was venues like that, but that'll be it. Right?
Yeah.
You'd have that building there, this building we're in here, and then that was kind of it. Now, obviously, they've run Gamers 8 from here for the last couple of years, which is kind of like the Esports World Cup before it was called the Esports World Cup. But this entire area we're in did not exist. I mean, it didn't exist 12 months ago. Maybe it didn't exist like 4 months ago.
No,
well, like, you know.
We got a tour of a place from someone like very high up in the Esports World Cup, basically giving us a well-rounded tour. And I think it took them, he said they had 90 days to build this place. And what was it? Salah was telling me that from the, like, he saw it when it was nothing, and then in 3 months, everything was up.
Yeah.
Which makes me, how safe is this building?
No, they absolutely cooked though. Like, I mean, when you walk around, it's an elite setup. It's really like a hub for esports gaming. Yesterday there was a Call of Duty, like a women's Call of Duty event happening here. There's a Tekken LCQ happening here. There's people playing PUBG over there. There's a Sony PlayStation 5 booth over there. It's actually unreal, the commitment to esports and gaming that you see in this place. Like, it's a whole gaming district essentially is what they're trying to build over here. But what about the event itself? What do we think about the broadcast, how it looked? There's some criticism of some of the effects, and like some people called it cringe, quote unquote. What do we think personally about, like, how they actually ran the Esports World Cup and how they played it out visually for the fans at home and all that?
Graphics were absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Content, absolutely insane. With the players, to the interviews, let me rephrase that. The interviews they recorded. I still feel like, to be an interviewer, you've got to come up with some better questions. I hate the generic questions of, who do you reckon's going to take this series? Who do you reckon's got the best chance of winning the event? When it's a pro player still in the tournament sat there, he's not going to go, FaZe could take the event. No, you're going to say it yourself.
Who's winning this series as you're about to play it?
Who's got the best, COD podcast on YouTube? Well, you ain't going to say anyone else other than us, say it. Come on.
Exclusive podcast, of course, but something like that.
I'm happy they're doing some other different things as well with the triangle keys. Pressing them. A lot of people have a little different opinions about it. I still think it's pretty cool. It's their own twist on things. And I spoke to Eric, one of the members of FaZe, and he said, give it like 4 years, it'll be even cooler, because how many keys have you crushed? That'd be like one of those things, like, how many of FaZe's keys have you crushed?
They're basically they're collectibles, basically, right?
Yeah.
They're essentially collectibles. So yeah, I mean, from everything we're hearing, like as Trey's kind of alluding to there, this is going to be a multi-year thing. This is not a 1 year thing, multi-year. And year one, you have to expect there's going to be some kinks that they have to get out. Rab, what did you think about some of the, maybe cringe interviews and some of the stuff like that? Did you find it good? Did you see some things they had to clean up? How did you kind of see all that breaking down?
Honestly, like, the bit that I preferred the most or enjoyed the most was the content pieces they did outside of things. I think the actual setup of the event in terms of the production, we'll obviously talk about the issues in a second, but, the skits they were doing with Dashy and Tej, and like Paul X, I'll try and find that one in a second here. And the fact that on the Wednesday, they sat down with all the players and they had so much content to run with throughout, to make it so the broadcast wasn't boring when there was like a tech delay.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately there were delays. And even though the delays between series were probably longer than they could have been anyway, they had like an hour's worth of content with Miles sitting down talking with the players about their career. And actually, those questions I thought were really good.
Yeah.
Like the ones in the interviews and stuff, okay, they left something to be desired. But the least piece of content where they're asking Kiz, all right, who's your duo? Who's the clutch player? Who's a choke player on your team?
Yeah,
whatever.
who's going to be late? All that stuff.
Yeah, who's going to be like, that's great content. The guys that came up with that. And I was just super impressed at how well they executed that on literally one day. The players got it Tuesday, jet lagged as hell. They got it early on Wednesday, ran the whole day of media, and then with literally overnight, they'd created all these intros for the teams.
Yeah.
Most of which were literally better than what the CDL teams came up with all season. And they had all this other content and stuff. So I actually think like it's not going to, the Esports World Cup ain't changed, it ain't going away. But I think the point is that the CDL and the teams in the league should be taking some notes on what was done this weekend, because while it wasn't perfect, a lot of the things were definitely a step closer to where I want esports to be. Like, I watch Counter-Strike and ESL and stuff like this, the big CS events. Those events, like IEM Cologne that's currently going on, that is gold standard esports. Mm-hmm. And in many ways, I think that what they were able to do here was to take elements of that we should also be taking.
Yeah. That's one thing, you brought up another issue. I think one of the issues, now we spoke of the highlights, but some of the server issues we saw, especially on day one, were, back-to-back issues, people lagging out, and kind of some of the negative side. Trey, obviously as a professional, ex-professional in COD, have we seen that many delays in an event before? And if you could touch on kind of what do you think is the cause of why there were so many just delays?
Like since I've been competing?
Yeah. Have you seen an event where we've seen this many times people lag out and drop from servers mid-game? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, see, it was an Orlando event. That was when Lizard Squad hacked the PlayStation servers.
Oh my god!
I forgot about
Took
that.
him down for like 3 hours, and my coach BenJ at the time was basically screaming. He's like, sat there. He's like, "What's going on? Like, why can't we play?" He's like, "BenJ, the servers are down. The whole PlayStation server is down." He's like, "This is unacceptable." And he's like, "What do you want me to do about it?" He's like, "Phone someone at Sony." We're like,
you think we got it like that?
Like, BenJ, chill out, bro. Like, we
1-800 Sony. What am I supposed to do here?
I mean,
dude?
listen, at the end of the day, like, you can't stop the delays that happened, all right? They done what they could. The issues were not down to them. The issues were down to COD. COD just have terrible servers right now. Every game update they do breaks the game. The private matches, it happens to this day. You go play a private match, even at home, it's not just Middle Eastern servers or anything like that. You go home, you'll play a private match. Midway through the private match, you'll start lagging.
Yeah.
Like, it's just COD. And it shouldn't be a thing. They're a AAA game company, billion-dollar company. The fact that people are blaming EWC is outrageous. Blame the goddamn game creators. It is a joke.
Activision.
Yes.
Activision.
Yeah, I agree. I think always on these things, from both sides, you can always argue. I'm sure that the guys who ran production this weekend were not happy about it and were saying, okay, how can we, on our side, help make this better? On some level, there's only so much you can do. But at the same time, they weren't using the CDL accounts. So maybe there's a conversation to be had on that. Maybe there's a conversation to be had with Activision on the servers you can run or whatever. So I think the production team definitely did a better job as the weekend went on of getting through the issues. I mean, obviously, even on the Sunday, we had one lag out maybe, which is the first game of the day. But apart from that, it was clean. So definitely the weekend was getting better as it went on. But I'm sure that the production team here will think, okay, for next year, whether there's a better conversation to be had with Activision on how you, first of all, fix your shit, but also if it's not going to be perfect, is there a better way we can help? But also people just forget, I think, too quickly how common tech issues typically are at events. I actually think that this year's CDL was incredibly good compared to normal. We had barely any tech issues this year. There were lots of series that were ending ahead of time. Mm-hmm. If you go back a few years in COD, there were tech delays all the time.
Yeah,
and even this is true in any other PC game. Valorant is abysmal for it. It's tech delays all the time. CS is the same. So it's not, tech delays aren't unusual. The annoying thing is when the server just dies. Yeah. Because it's and effectively because COD is a poor esport in many respects, you also run into the issues of you can't restart the game and this type of bullshit. Yeah. So, it's understandable why some of the players are talking about, the problems. I mean, we can go through a couple of those tweets now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, this is obviously interesting. I think that it's worth mentioning the point on if you win the event, you're going to say it's the biggest event ever.
Yeah, it's the best event. It was fucking excellent. It was the best thing I've ever played. The best of the best. So we have a tweet here from, obviously, Dashy. Online COD, there was never a doubt. This is after they got eliminated from the tournament, and there's a little spit between him and Aches. So wait till you find out every PC event that ever happened was online.
And he's just cooking in for extra fine. I mean, the interesting tweet here really was, this stuff's pretty funny. The interesting tweet probably was Dante's one. So there was talk about whether this event should ideally be now, because it's a bit weird, right? It's the first time since 2015 that we've had champs and then another event.
Yeah.
I think ideally it isn't like that because you want the biggest event to be at the end of the year. It's even possible, in my mind, because the World Cup has run from July to August. Could we not have the World Cup first week of the World Cup, you know what I mean? Start of July.
Yeah, week one.
And then run champs now. Or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would be possible to swap them, potentially, if the conversations were had.
I don't think there's no correlation between the EWC and the CDL.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to give a fuck.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. I'm just thinking there should be a conversation.
Let's just picture that. I actually like it like this. I can't lie.
Give me your reasons.
I mean, yeah, everyone puts everything in the champs, but then You know, this gives people redemption from champs.
Should you get redemption from champs though? Because that should be the champs. Like after the NBA finals or your Premier League finals, is there some other thing that comes right after that's like, yeah, it almost like makes it seem like the finals wasn't the finals, right?
I mean, should you get rid of that? If the CDL put another champs on after champs, it'd be a different conversation, but it's a different organizer, different organizer.
Yeah, I mean,
It doesn't bother me.
that's kind of one of the spats, right? Because EWC wants to be the biggest event and CDL wants champs to be the biggest event. So,
Well, Lions are making an interesting point about the prize pool, right? Because Champs' prize pool this year was 2 mil, yeah? I think it was exactly 2 mil. And this prize pool was 1.8 mil, which kind of sounded like that they'd had a conversation to be like, okay, you know, you can do it, guys. Because at the end of the day, Activision has to give EWC the rights to use the game.
right, yeah.
So on some level, there is a conversation that's being had there. And I think that probably, as you say, Lion, the reason why it was 1.8 mil was so it wasn't bigger than Champs. Maybe it was going to be 1.8 mil anyway. But it sounded like a conversation was had to say, okay, you guys can run the event, but it can't be bigger than Champs. So, you know, I think there's maybe a better way to run the structure. I would like it to be like a mid-season event type thing rather than like right at the end of the year. Just because I think I agree with Ace's point on I don't like there being redemption from champs necessarily, even though it's worked out great for FaZe.
Yeah.
But also for other teams, it's proven that like they ain't good enough and they've got to blow it up. Because we're definitely going to be talking about Rostermania in the coming minutes. Heard it was meant to be 4 million. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So that's interesting rumor if that's true. Okay, people are actually saying this, yeah.
I saw some people saying that this should be an event towards the beginning of the
Scrub said
year. I don't know if I agree with the idea of making this the intro event of the year because such a big prize pool at the start of the year, you know, when people are just starting to scrim, just practicing, just figuring out what exactly the strats are on the game. Plus, bro, this game at the start to now with the map differences and everything, like imagine you won $2 million at the beginning of the year and then you're playing a different game. You're playing Skid Row for a $2 million tournament, then you're playing Six Star in Rio for another $2 million tournament. It doesn't make sense to have it like that. So I know some people are talking about making it the first one as an intro. Sounds good in theory, but I think it's bad in practice.
I just think putting this in the mid-season just screws the whole schedule up.
Yeah, that's another problem as well.
That's why I'm saying like it's fine being after champs because it's literally it's players being able to go to a different country. You know that you can have a little holiday there if you want after too, because then that's the season done and dusted completely. After champs, that's when teams are going to either like make a little change, see if the player that they've picked up, or they want to make a change for this event. You know, see if it's going to work out, see if they like that player, could potentially re-sign him for next year.
Little trial period.
Yeah, a little trial period. I don't hate it being after champs. I know some, like you said, the redemption period, whatever like that, but like mid-season on a 16-hour travel day after an event, like, you know, it's going to be after a major. I wouldn't put it first event of the year for 1.8 mil. I would never do that.
Yeah.
That would be crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I heard people talking about that. I'm like, there's a problem here, really.
You know, and then halfway through the season, you come up with the issue of they've just finished a major. How are they going to finish the online? How are they going to go? Like, they're going to go to Saudi Arabia and come back, play some online matches? No, this should just be the end be all. Like, whoever won champs, you won champs. You're the best. You know, that's your legacy cemented. And EWC is just like the money event after. You know,
I mean, so, one thing
and
about
over
it too,
in due course, it's going to be, you know, it's going to have increasing importance as there's more, like the more years that go on, the more legacy it creates as an event.
Yes,
like there's talk about the keys being crushed and like, okay, but
you got to look at it like
crushed this year, but
look at it like football though. You know, teams play in the Champions League. That's like that would be like the, you know, the champs as such.
Yeah.
Or like the EWC, you can word it any way you want, and then there's like the Euros and the World Cup, which like, everyone wants to win.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's more important to players.
It's more competition, so I think people got to embrace change a little bit, right? You can't just say champs is the end all be all when now it's more an opportunity to make more money, right? Like why are you hating on an opportunity to make more money, create more legacy, make COD more international? And, you know, some people just won the NBA finals and now they just played the U.S. Olympics, right? They just played, it's right a couple of weeks after or a couple months after.
Like,
you got to embrace the change.
That's the way I see it is like a football player would want to win the Euros or World Cup over the Champions League.
Exactly.
The same way a Call of Duty player would want to win champs over EWC. That's the way I look at it.
At least for now.
Yeah, I get it.
At least for now.
Well, I think it will always be like that.
I think it will, as long as they don't combine the two events. I think that's like I don't mind it as it is. I just want there to, as long as we have a champs and then the World Cup is a separate thing, rather than do the same. Because at some point they're probably going to build here some crazy big stadiums that can actually host the events they're looking to host, and maybe I'm sure that's a thought process.
Quick hypothetical.
Go on.
Just really quick. And chat, you guys can say what you want to say about this too. Does this tournament become more important than champs if it becomes, let's say, hypothetically, a $5 million tournament all of a sudden? So winner takes home, the winning team takes home $1.5 million.
I don't think money equates to the ring that you win.
I agree. Activision are never going to let it be like that.
The ring cements legacy, and we're not changing that legacy just because more money's come in. This legacy has been a thing since 2012.
But as to Rab's point, at some point, this becomes maybe a 5-year, 10-year thing. So there's more glory in maybe winning this and more money attached.
Every year it becomes more important. Like if they do it for 10 years, every year it becomes more important.
Right.
But I also think that we'll talk about this now quickly before we go on to the actual teams and that type of stuff. The format itself, the format has to be better if they want to be considered on the same level. Like if we're going to have a single elim best of 5 bracket, like it's never going to be on the same level as a double elim world championship, right? So I think for next year, the way this tournament was run with the groups and then the bracket was fine. I just think I would actually have liked to see them potentially run more matches on the Saturday, so they could have done it a double elim, or make it a best of 7 for the bracket, but then have like simultaneous games.
They would just need more stages to play.
Yeah. What you could do on the Friday and the Thursday, instead of having 2 games at once, literally have 4 games at once.
Yeah,
that's what it used to be done.
Yeah, just crank them out. Yeah,
and then you could crack on with the tournament on Friday afternoon, Saturday, and then you could actually have it double elim or best of 7s, because like there was no way to do best of 7s quarterfinals only on Saturday. There was just not the time in the day.
Right. I also don't like the way people are downplaying this event in terms of like someone in the chat said, it's a kickoff, it's a pro-am.
Exhibition.
Yeah, like, this event was big.
Yeah.
It was bigger than a major, not bigger than champs.
I don't know if I agree with that.
It's a major plus.
I don't think so. I think if you look back at the season, I think I equate it to a major, in my opinion. I think it was a worse format, but it was more money. So I think it was equivalent, in my opinion. These guys think it's more so.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm more on Trey's side where I can't say it's just a major. Like
it's under champs, but it's more than a major just because of the money. What does a major get you? Nothing. Just get you money.
500k. But also a major is a culmination of weeks of qualifiers.
And this is accumulation of the whole year.
A major also
on some level.
A major also gets you points though, which qualify for champs. So that's, I guess, another addition. So that's why I can't equate it to be a major personally. To me, it's a culmination of the year, all the practice you've put in for another massive tournament, separate from the CDL, of course. So I can't just call it a major. I feel like it
was better than Major 4 for sure.
It was better than Major 2, Major 4, Major 1, honestly. Major Toronto was probably the one that I think is like.
That's what I was like. If you ask OpTic, would they prefer to have won in Toronto or won here? Well, it depends if you want the money or not. But
I guarantee you they all say here. I mean, maybe right now they're a little bit salty right now after losing here. But I guarantee you they say they'd rather win here.
I think Toronto, in my opinion, Toronto Major was a bigger victory than this. Might be a hot take.
Why though?
Because this event was. Okay, the crowd is a factor. Like, the importance of the event in the season. This is the first time it was run.
The crowd is also, like, we're dealing with a different scene over here, though.
Yeah, for sure.
No, for sure. Like, I'm not trying to downplay this event, but I'm saying that, I'm trying to give the counterpoint.
Give it 2 years, I guarantee the crowd will be mental.
That's 100% what I'm thinking.
Like, they're so refined because they don't want to do anything out of the ordinary. And then you give it like 2 years of just scrap screaming like players and stuff like that. Like it's gonna be like a CDO major at that point.
Larger. I mean, in my opinion, definitely larger.
With the things that we heard, yeah, incredibly larger.
Yeah. So, we even heard you guys were hearing some people say it was quiet, but even when OpTic played, you heard green wall chants with 200 people.
I don't actually think it was that quiet. Like the quietness of the crowd is always dependent on how they actually have the microphone set up. Like, you can have a big-ass crowd and it will sound quiet on the stream, and this happens a lot of esports because they just don't have the audio turned up. Like, you can make any crowd sound loud if you just turn up the sound. Like, it's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the sound of the crowd from home is you never actually tell what it's like in the venue.
But I promise you this, OpTic win this event, it's everyone's opinions changed.
Yeah, I mean, Scump and Hex on their watch party said it was a real event, a real event, 100%. They didn't say it was a foo-foo thing, a couple days ago. And AN in the chat also says, is this like the X Games? Yeah, I would put it more on the equivalency of an X Games compared to a regular major. I think that's a lot closer to what they're trying to build as compared to just saying, this is a regular major 1 or major 2. It's not the same. But I think it's time we could jump into some of these actual games, the groups, talk a little bit about these teams, what we expect to see from them in the future, and some of the narratives. I think that we've kind of concluded after this event. There's definitely been a lot of new conclusions, especially on the challenger side, and some of these teams where they have to blow it up, keep it together, and kind of what the future holds for them.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go through the teams that got eliminated real quick. I guess we can touch on some of the Challengers teams. Like, they put up a bit of a fight, but, it's the same old story in it, Trei. Like, I'll let you talk on this, on the Challengers players, that they give it large, and then they turn up to the tournament and they get pissed out.
Yeah, I mean, it's been happening 10 years. It's been happening for a while. It's just the same thing over and over again. It's what I said on our watch party too. A lot of these challenger players just don't show respect to the people that are above them. They don't show respect to the people that have been doing this for so long. They just think, oh, I'm better than that player. They won't study their footage. They won't go and, you'll find it so hard to find a challenger player right now that been like, he won't admit and be like, oh, I was, how have I got better? Oh, I was studying Dashy gameplay. I was studying Cell gameplay. I was watching how they play the map and I was just trying to replicate it. They just won't. Yeah. They just think they're better. They think they're just going to be better than them, like, in the map, one-on-one gun skill, and it just doesn't happen like that. You might have better gun skill than them, but this is a team game, and that's why CDL teams are better. And I'm strictly talking about CDL teams get paid to play the game. It is their full-time job. They wake up, live, breathe, COD. Challenger players, some of them have a job, some of them are just, they don't put as much time and effort in as some of these pro players do, because the pro player, it is his job.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think some of the players individually can show up and do well and prove that they deserve a spot or whatever. But
I mean, I also spoke to a couple of pro players here, not naming names, but they also said that some of these challenger players that everyone's gassing up, they were disappointed with them.
Arse.
They were disappointed with them. Some of these challenger players that you guys said should be in the league, or a lot of us say should be in the league, a lot of pro players played in this event and said, I don't know what all the hype was about. So, yeah.
I mean, it's that, and they're also scrimming them leading up to the event as well. So, they got a much better flavor and experience to see what they're talking about. Do they really have the chops to, beat them? And I guess very clearly, we've seen that's not the case. So,
I mean, a lot of pros said it was upsetting that they're just wasting their time like that.
Just a waste of a match, basically.
Yeah, in terms of they're gassing it up to the point where, they said they can beat these teams or have a good showing, and they just get bopped.
Scrap, I'm gonna beat you. Scrap, I'm gonna beat you.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hate too much, but it does fill me with joy when Exceed loses.
Generational hating. Generational, bro. Holy shit. All right, well, let's go to some of these groups, man. Let's break these down, man.
Certainly didn't exceed expectations.
Oh,
wow.
Okay, so when Brooklyn get coached, okay, they won map 1 against OpTic, but there was also talk about the warm-up stations not being here. At the end of the day, people talk about cheese, online servers, all this type of stuff. You look at the overall tournament results, isn't many surprises. FaZe won, they're the best team. Thieves made a run, but they'd obviously showed promise. None of the amateur teams made the bracket. OpTic, there was 1 or 2 upsets the tournament, which is what you'd expect anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't really buy this idea that the setup could be better in some ways, but I don't really think it affected the result.
Yeah, adding challengers to the mix didn't change anything up. They didn't do nothing really new happened. G2 bombed out, Vegas bombed out. I mean, everything that we expected to generally happen.
Okay, so what do we think about Ravens? Okay, Vegas, they're not with their full team. I mean, they wanted to have Johnny, I think. And they had Fame instead, but they were complete arse.
He had one keyword. He's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, they got ripped against Ravens twice in a row. Carolina are a strange team because they brought in Beans. I mean, we'll just talk about them real quick we'll get to the bracket in a second, I guess. But Ravens then eventually losing the bracket to Surge. They bring in Beans. Beans is clearly, everyone knows this. The guy is insane when he's on it, but he's not always on it. Pretty inconsistent this event overall, but I still think he's proven they're not going to get rid of him. unless somebody else gets him instead.
I'm hoping he just signed a contract for this event.
I'm definitely
I
on that.
hope
on that
this
wave.
was like a 2-week contract because I don't want him staying on that org.
Yeah, he definitely should explore his options.
I don't want him staying on that org.
If he's speaking from the player side, if I'm Carolina management, I would try to keep that team. Maybe besides Fellow, TJ showed promise, Beans shows promise, and Gwyn is obviously a guy you want to keep. He's a building piece for you, or even a selling piece potentially to make your org some money finally.
No one's buying players though. That's the issue.
Rookie of the year. There's someone who maybe Boston Breach might want to get him. I don't know. I'm just saying some people that could
Boston
look
Breach.
hypothetically if
They're not even in New York.
we don't even know if they're org anymore. But I'm saying there's people out there for Gwyn that could have a market. But if I'm them, I'm swapping out Fellow maybe and trying to find an upgrade in that department to match Beans, match some pace a little bit. And with that 4, maybe you could find some success. But that's what I see there. And then Legion, I don't even know, man.
Awesome.
They were looking. The Legion we saw early, or like mid-season.
Nero had a stinker event as well, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah, Ben had an interesting take on Nero. I think he said like he wasn't this good this season. I was like,
Interesting.
I think he's pretty good this
Pretty,
season.
he was legit good this season. I think it's always going to be the thing with this event, and we'll talk about this. Let me go to Group C because we've got to talk about this fucking Miami Heretics team.
Funny thing, I actually bumped into Vickle yesterday.
Really?
Yeah. He goes, "You all right, Trey?" I was like, "What?" He goes, "Spanish COD."
Wow, what a guy! At least he's a lad about it.
Took him a whole season to admit it, but we're back.
Yeah,
we're back, baby.
Generational hating's back. I saw someone in the chat saying that Stallions gave us the best series of the event.
Best.
The best of the worst.
It was fucking terrible.
I don't want to talk about this series.
I'm gonna keep it real with you. It was the worst game of all time.
Yeah, that's probably to be honest, out of every team here, maybe besides G2, maybe it depends on your personal opinion. Stallions were probably the most disappointing to me personally.
You said besides G2?
I said both of those are kind of depending on who you are. Opinion most disappointing.
No, a CDO team is coming dead last is definitely the most disappointing team here.
Fair enough. I just thought Stallion.
Four players on a lot of money coming in here, doing it as a full-time job and have been for the whole year, coming here and getting top 16 is the worst.
That is ours. This is also true for Heretics too.
Yeah, Heretics as well, G2, but Stallions were talking a lot of smack as well. That's like the other side of it. They were saying things, Oxy saying things. We could stand there with the best of them. Obviously beat Heretics, but in the least clean fashion. I don't know. I just felt kind of disappointed with that team, and I think all that shit they were talking didn't pan out the right way.
All the challenger people were talking did not pan out. The only team I can kind of give it to is Breach, but even then, they didn't exactly play the best.
Ultra
teams.
came top 8, and this was literally the worst group ever. Stallions were trash, and Heretics were somehow even worse.
You want to know the funny thing is I forgot Heretics even played this event.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're even still here, to be honest. I think there was always going to be one pro team that just did not take the post-champs period seriously, option 1, or option 2 is just mentally compromised because they knew they were going to make a change after champs anyway, and they've basically just got worse over the last few weeks. I feel like that was always going to happen to at least some teams, and I feel like Heretics probably fall into that category.
Breach did well, don't shame Breach. What's well though?
They did all right. They beat Heretics, they lost to Ultra 3-1, and then they went and got 3-0'd by FaZe. So they were better than I thought they'd be.
They beat who they beat,
and they lost to who they should have lost.
Because Heretics probably were the worst team here this weekend.
Them or GC for sure. But I would think the only thing I can say about Breach is that out of all the teams, they're probably the best quote-unquote challengers team. That's what I'll give them.
It's funny how we actually consider them a challengers team.
Well, the funny thing is that the best challenger team in the world, Law, came here and got fucking tucked.
That was confusing to me a bit.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That didn't even confuse me.
Really?
I'm not surprised.
Nah, because that's the level we're talking about here right now.
They do have a tough
champs,
group, to be fair.
Yeah, but challenger champs don't even come close to being, you know what I'm saying?
The best of the best.
Yeah, and I'm 100 Thieves as well. They were good. They were fucking good.
Yeah, we'll get to them in a second. 100. Law, the only team that lost to was 100T. They lost them twice. But it was just the Falcons series, right? Falcons impressed me. I thought it was cool to see them actually show up. They could have won this series against Law. Like, they genuinely could have won this. Game 4, they had the chances. They were up 2-1 in the series. Game 5, they could have potentially won as well.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, Falcons, everyone deemed were like, they were okay, but they weren't good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're the odd man out of this tournament for sure.
And they go last map versus Falcon, and they go last map versus Law. Like, that's the level I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know?
It was actually very surprising to see Team Falcons like we at least back home, you know, we're in America, we don't really see them too much. In the EU, they play them a bit, but it was kind of surprising to see them keep up, at least like stay generally competitive with FaZe and Lore. With FaZe, they got bodied overall, but like it's not like they weren't shooting back. They were getting some kills. There was some, you know, King of Bodhi's an onliner, hilarious. But some of those guys were shooting back. It was kind of impressive to see that, you know, the kind of talent that exists. Even, you know, over here in the MENA region.
Can the Falcons move to NA, get better competition? I think they would need... if you move them to America, it ain't going to make them better.
I think there's one or two players that should really explore the idea of going to EU and then maybe to the NA, you know, kind of like...
I'll say this, it's four ranked players running around on that team.
Yeah.
I think they got enough... I think, like, a couple of them have enough talent. Like, Xnids, I think, and Khalid probably.
Yeah, it's one or two guys that you need to kind of pull to the EU scene, get some success, then come over to NA and a CDL team and take a chance on them.
But I will say this is like, and the reason I say ranked players is because that's literally what they were 2 years ago, and I feel like that's just like how it is with that team right now. They're getting practice in the UK. It's not like they only scrim over here; they scrim the UK teams.
Yeah.
But when they go to American events, they get tucked.
Yeah.
Even I tucked them when I was MW2. I tucked them.
They came to events.
Yeah. After I got dropped, I played I played a challenger event.
Oh, you got a Trei.
I think it was Dallas. You got tucked.
I think if Falcons need a new in-game leader.
I mean, I'm down.
All right, let's talk about Group B because this was the most interesting group in terms of outcomes. We had the upset here where Surge take down Cloud9, which this did surprise me, but we'll get on to talk about them a bit more in a second. We've got to talk G2. I'm just going to shut up and let Trei go on this one.
There you were.
You have one key word for Vegas. You did it again.
I'm trying to like refrain from swearing, but they were fucking ass. G2 were probably... and
it's the biggest disappointment.
It's two guys so bad.
It's two guys who got added to that team that were the best, you know, the highest placing of the top four. So half of the LAG team is on that team. You know, that's supposed to be a massive improvement to that squad. Still with, talking about leadership from Lamar and Linz, who's obviously a promising SMG. Seeing them bow out like this from this tournament was by far one of the, it definitely is the most disappointing result.
But my thing is, it's the same thing that keeps happening, bro. Like, who in their right mind decided, right, we're going to get rid of Gunless and Standy and replace them with Estro and DiamondCon?
I just don't. I honestly don't.
Estro and Linz makes sense to me.
Bruh.
Estro and Linz makes sense to me. Because Estro is fast, Linz is slow. Nice little combination.
This is like the scoreboard that I expected.
DiamondCon and Lamar on the same team.
It's criminal, mate. It's criminal.
DiamondCon and Lamar on the same team is just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they are so slow. Like, when are they going to sit here, like, and not keep pairing two slow ARs? Gunless, Lamar.
They love it, mate.
Awakening Lamar.
Major Maniac Lamar.
Like, bro.
I used to blame Brian Saint for this, but he's now gone to Ravens.
That's why
I'm looking at Dan Looney.
It's insane.
No, Mike, I'm not defending. I said it's the most disappointing of the entire weekend. How am I defending accuracy here?
Wake and Cammy look good. They do look good. Why? Wake's slow, Cammy's fast, and Wake's actually getting some fucking kills.
Wake actually got some kills this event.
Wake went God mode this event and still lost and had one of the worst comebacks on Rio in a long time.
Let me add it. Trei, I'll stick it. See, even Hixie, if we could get you in this call right now, I would. If we could have you here right now, because he's one of the people I think should be in the league next year.
I agree.
I think a lot of people are missing a player like Hixie, and everyone has their opinions, but I'm always right and never wrong, and that's someone that does need to be in the league.
Yeah.
It's just I don't understand how you sit here and you think, who we're gonna pair Lamar with for the EWC? Diamond Gun. Yeah. That's gonna solve everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think at that point it's just like darts at a board. You know what I'm saying? They're just seeing who's on the market, just grabbing somebody and saying, "Let's go, let's run it."
Now, I'm happy that that the LAG team that didn't get to go got to come. Like three players.
They deserved it.
They did deserve to go here. It's just wow.
I mean, yeah. So they got. But the interesting thing on some part is that obviously Cobra has a great series against them here.
Harry has an incredible series.
Harry has an unbelievable search and destroy this tournament. They literally still can't win a fucking hardpoint. But apart from that, it was. I mean, Gentlemates impressed me. It was also really cool to see Gataga, who owns this org, stream into 50,000 viewers during the series. Like, that shows that COD has way more potential.
I think Bans had a rough event too. They just couldn't win a hardpoint, which doesn't help anyone's KD.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this series on my head was just on it. Like, it's flipped on its head. Like, G2 was winning hard points and then losing S&T.
Did they get Neslo? They did, right?
Yeah. It was a Neslo. Like, that's usually not what would happen here. It's very odd.
I mean, the Rio was 250 to 70, bro.
Yeah,
game one was only close because Cobra was on a 10 spree.
Yeah.
You got to think. That's an impressive regain after map 4.
To be fair, it is.
250 to 70. I'm sitting there thinking, fuck. We might be fucked.
No,
and then Ben Bans comes in with a masterclass.
No, he did actually. Bans started map 5 like 1 in 5.
Yeah, I know.
And then he turned it around with a 7 or 8 spree or something.
But yeah, I mean, this was the biggest disappointment for sure. Shout out Gentlemates. That guy Harry got clutched on like 2 1v3s. So shout out Harry. That was some good shit out of you. Cobra shows promise. I absolutely 1000% would want to see Cobra in the league next year.
Cobra could be on this team.
and Cobra both got to be in the league.
That's one of the names I heard that was very disappointing.
Cobra? He just the disappointment I saw with him is that he doesn't move much. Like he's definitely baiting. He's definitely baiting his teammates 1000%. But he has the gun skill to prove himself, I think, in the league, and it's well deserved after this much time. I think a risk could be taken on him.
Listen, I think a lot of people that said like these challenger players were disappointing have got to understand that like you stick them in an environment where they are playing with other pros that have been doing it for a while, they're going to get better and better and better.
Yeah.
And if it's just raw talent, adding that, competitive mindset, professional mindset can turn them into superstars.
Exactly, right? So, I mean, he's going through the pits right now.
Yeah.
Get him in a good environment. Who knows what he could become, exactly.
It was just this we were talking about, right, when the Gentlemates boys were getting roasted by Scrap, by Dashy, by Sib, because it is interesting what you say, because none of these guys even played them at this tournament, but they watched it, and I guess they scrimmed them.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. They're not in their pools. They scrimmed them.
So, but you know how it goes. These cats playing for a scoreboard screenshot of the series. So, always
there's actually nothing you can do when you get, three of the biggest names in the COD esports scene right now just fucking violating.
Yeah, it's kind of tough.
But I will say, a lot of these people, Scrap saying hit the fucking hill, they weren't winning hard points themselves.
I know. I actually do think sometimes, like, the players...
Gotta look in a mirror?
Well, I don't think they always know ball as much as they think they know ball. They know how to play the game, obviously, and they understand it, but I think with everyone, naturally, you always get these, like, narratives. So if a player convinces themselves that some other guy's playing the game wrong or isn't as good, they will find... It's confirmation bias, right? They'll find reasons to believe that. So, like, let's say they see Cobra play one map and he doesn't do so well. All of a sudden, Scrap or whoever's thinking it is like, this guy's trash. And then when you watch the games that he plays in his upcoming maps, they're looking for reasons to explain that.
Well, I had this
bias.
conversation with Karma when he joined our stream. Pretty much like, I said they're kill whoring, but they're not meaning to kill whore. Unintentionally kill whoring, like they're scared to make a play or scared to die, which ends up with all those tweets basically say like, because at that moment in the hard point generates 2, 3 dead, 4 dead, whatever like that, and they're still just sat in the same spot. They're not moving to the hill, they're not stacking the points, and I feel like it's unintentional kill horn to the point where like they just want to sit in a spot because it's a good spot, but no one sat there and gone like, oh, I'll go to hill, take my spot.
That's the biggest difference between a challengers player and a pro player. The biggest difference is the IQ and playing as a team. Everyone's kind of playing for themselves individually. When you're a challengers player, you're playing for your own stat line, your own kills, and you're playing a lot more of a not calculated game, essentially.
Oh, no, I've seen some low IQ players this year, and that's in the CDL
There's
too.
CDL as well.
Yeah.
But specifically, like very specifically with Cobra in the last tweet segment, that he's playing control. As I was saying, him and you know who he reminds me of? Cobra and Geo have very similar play styles. Very similar. They play for the kill. They play for the I'm not gonna die and you can run in front of me, but I'm not gonna move. It's the as Dante says, the perma playing control. Like he's playing TDM and just trying to stack up kills and not die and not hit fucking hills. Basically.
See what Ultra said in the chat is not also true. The EU style is slower. That isn't true. There's been multiple times over the years where Americans played a lot more methodical and slower against us when I competed, and that's the reason that like a lot of the times, because we never scrimmed them when we came over, so a lot of the times we caught them off guard at how fast we played, or they would catch us off guard at how methodical and slow they played.
Right. No
EU style is way faster than American style.
Yeah.
100%.
And
There's
then,
also this tweet
and the
from
Spanish style is if you did a line and started fucking running.
Which actually is kind of how Seattle Surge plays. Let's talk about them real quick because they beat Cloud9 here. I think, okay, Cloud9 by losing the series, that's OpTic round 1, got bopped out of the tournament. But for them to come top 8, especially losing to Surge, there's been talk about this Cloud9 team, right? Because even Sib said this on Attach's podcast the other week, that their practice is not very good. They are not very consistent in their practice, especially not compared to a team like OpTic, compared to a team like FaZe. And if your practice is not consistently good, you can lack confidence going to events. You struggle to regain if things are going badly. And you're just not going to be consistent in tournaments if your practice is not consistent.
And you always run the risk with saying things like that.
What's saying that? Oh, like putting it out there?
Yeah.
Okay.
You run the risk of your teammates being like, why is he airing this out? Why is he, going on a podcast and basically saying that, like, basically out in our
dirty laundry
business.
Yeah, our laundry.
Yeah. And that could also harm a player. It could also be like, right, he actually said this in front of people, let's fucking lock in. And I think it clearly showed that it didn't do much.
Yeah. I mean, it was, I don't know, Cloud9 they've had their ups and downs. They had their moments that looked inconsistent. Definitely whatever preparation and I don't know, a team environment and vibe they had going to champs was not what they brought here. It just seemed like something fell off. Personally, when I look at that team, the issues I see is in the inconsistency of Kismet and also the play style of Skies. Into this offseason, I don't think we see FaZe or our OpTic really change. I don't know what NY is going to do exactly, but I don't know. I think improvements in those two departments could help a lot. I think Dante proved himself this year, became one of the best players in the league towards the end of the year. And HyDra, I mean, do we even need to talk about it? Like, come on, man.
I mean, I think the question is, because it's always after champs, there's always the talk of like, right, what the fuck are we going to do? Mm-hmm. And I don't believe they even had that conversation. I think they were just going to come to this event like everything was fine and dandy, when I feel like that camp is probably the most compromised camp.
Cloud9?
Yeah.
You think they're the most compromised camp? Interesting.
Toronto are more of a camp that is, even if they play bad or something like that, there's a lot of team camaraderie. They're still a team. They're like, right, we'll try and figure it out next event. I feel like the players on Cloud9, as we look at them right now, they're not exactly teammates. They don't mesh very well. They're very different individuals. And I think we can see that on player cams. I think we can see that in content. I think we can see that whilst they're on stage too. I think that's in what I mean by compromised.
I see what you mean.
I don't feel like they're an actual team. I just feel like they're 4 players that have just, some of them are friends, some of them are not friends, some of them just there to play, get a paycheck, and just, try and make it out like they're good teammates when they're really not.
Right. Gohan makes an interesting point. If they drop Priesta, they're dropping Kiz when he's done worse. That's an interesting point, I think. If they drop Priesta after championships and him playing fairly well and filling their role, ideally, dropping Kismet when you're bombing out the year, second place and eighth place now. It's definitely in the cards. Can we scroll up to what Hixie said?
Yeah, Hixie made a good point in terms of the practice people get in the UK, in the EU, sorry. And I will say it is true in terms of you want to practice against the best, and when you're in America, even the challenger teams get to play against pro teams.
Yeah.
The only time you get to play against pro teams is if there was a pro-am for scrims or something like that. But EU teams genuinely do get screwed on the practice, especially now that when we competed, like old days, we had top pro teams in the UK, top pro teams in the US, and then we just collided at an event or collided for group play at like leagues and stuff like that, and we still got to practice against them like all that time. Now, especially with how refined the talent is now, no one's really trying to compete like that, and if you are trying to compete, the teams fucking suck. Like, there's no top teams right now. All the top players have gone over there, and there's still some like top players that are still left in the UK that deserve spots in the league, and it's just it's a big fuck fest. And I do agree with you, Charlie, that I mean, we haven't. It's hard now. I said it to Sib the other day. Like, who's really in challenges right now that you're looking, thinking, "Fuck me!" Like, this guy's fucking up and coming straight up.
No, it's getting worse and worse.
Yeah, every single year it's getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
So I guess with this Cloud9 team, the question that I really have is what you actually do with it, because as you say, Trey, there seems to be some discord in their camp. The thing is, HyDra and Kiz have been a duo now for a good few years, and HyDra and Skies get on well, even though I just think Skies has been just shit for the last, 2 or 3 months.
No, see, the problem with Skies is,
you summed up what I said very well, honestly.
The problem with Skies is they've teamed him up with a very fast player in Sib. Mm-hmm. They've got Kiz and HyDra, who Kiz hasn't had a very good year either. But
look at these KDs for the last 4 or 5.
Kiz and HyDra work well together in terms of what they did.
Yeah, I mean, Kiz enables HyDra, even when he's playing badly, he's still playing for the win, and he still has high engagements, which then leads to HyDra obviously cleaning up his little pieces, and he gets assists and stuff like that.
Caesar is so slow.
Yeah.
So slow.
Do you have the engagement, his engagement?
I mean, you can see, this is kills per 10.
Yeah.
Which was higher this event, interestingly, but relatively smaller sample size.
Yeah.
I mean, I can find you some stats. So.
Yeah. Engagement, just like his engagement stats.
I'm just looking at fucking player cards at this point. Major 1.
Yeah, progressively throughout the year, it's just gotten, worse.
Major 4.
Kiz does not enable HyDra. HyDra enables Kiz. If anything, HyDra enables everyone.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Johnny, come on, brother. Also, thank you for the first time chat. What's up, brother? Kiz bangs out he's the entry, essentially, He's the entry that then he can play around HyDra. So, I don't know. I think improvements, what can they do? That's the main question. What can they do?
Well, look, let's talk about it in the context of Toronto as well.
Exactly. That's what I was
Well, see, the scariest thing about this is that's why I said they're the most compromised team, because, right, you drop Sib because he's not a part of your team.
He's the odd man out. Yeah.
He's the odd man out. You guys didn't win champs with him. You dropped him, as an upgrade, I guess. That's what they'd deem it. But they clearly don't get along. So do you keep Skies and Kiz and just fuck you, Sib?
Friendship league cheese?
Friendship league cheese.
Now, I had this conversation. Personally, right now, I think Toronto's very compromised in terms of...
They're for sure compromised.
I truly believe they're just going to blow it up. Mm-hmm. Blow it up. I
actually think they have to.
They had a great start to the year.
Yeah.
Unbelievable start. Probably, I still think Major 1 Toronto was the best team this year.
They were godlike.
That was the best team this year.
I'm not going to lie. Map 1 of this series against Thieves, they played like fucking Major 1 Toronto.
Yeah.
And then they just couldn't keep it going.
And that's what I'm saying. I think Major 1 Toronto was the best we've ever seen a team look in a major. Or in a tournament this
Especially
year.
At the start.
Yeah, if the game didn't change, they were going to go on a tear this year.
This Map 1 Vista was an absolute masterclass, as was the first 2-3 rounds of the Rio. Genuinely a masterclass. And then they just couldn't maintain it.
If Toronto holds Scrap, which I assume they do, or Scrap might try and leave, but I'm assuming that Toronto are going to hold Scrap. If I'm Toby and Kleenex...
How are you going to lose the series, by the way?
If I'm Toby and Kleenex, I'm sitting there thinking, all right, if we're getting dropped, and, Kiz and Skies, I don't like Kiz and Skies, I'm thinking...
Can we get there?
I'm thinking, not even a swap, I'm thinking, if they're just going to let me go, I'm going to go team with HyDra, Sib,
Yeah.
Kleenex, Insight.
Right.
I think this is my key takeaway for this entire tournament.
That's a fucking good team.
Especially with FaZe winning. OpTic won champs. FaZe won this event, looked dominant doing so, 16-3 map count. If you are Toronto, if you are New York, or Cloud9 as they're called now, you have to recognize neither of your teams are good enough to beat either of those OpTic or FaZe teams next year. Mm-hmm. The only solution is to come together. Like, this is what Scrap and HyDra must think about right now. Scrap and HyDra have to think about whether they can team up next year, because both of them are trying to win a ring. Scrap's trying to get his first, and Scrap's looking at the fact that FaZe aren't changing after this, OpTic aren't changing after this. So how's Scrappy going to get his ring next year? He ain't getting his ring with his team of 4, because, you know, they're also breakers, unfortunately, as well, when it matters.
Yeah, see, Pogba, you're saying Scrap won't drop Kleenex. Scrap wanted to go last year.
Scrap is ruthless like that.
Scrap don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Scrap wants to win. Now,
Okay, so Belmonte comes up with an idea, so let's talk about that.
huh?
Scap, HyDra, Kleenex, Sib.
I'm sorry, the only way that happens is if HyDra leaves Cloud9, and I don't see HyDra will never leave Cloud9.
Wrong way.
I think it
Wrong
goes the other way.
No, wrong way. Yeah, you're thinking of it the wrong way.
No, but I'm saying like Scrap can go off Ultra,
That's what I'm saying.
but not this year.
Okay, well, that depends. Everyone's contract has a number, right? You have a buyout number. Everyone has it.
I just
What
don't
it's
see
gonna
anyone
be?
paying buyouts,
Yeah,
bro.
what
I
it's
just
But
don't.
it depends, like, what... You know, things get tricky if Scrap, you know, comes up publicly and starts saying shit about
yeah.
the org.
Yeah, but like this is
you know what I'm
this is a
saying?
lot different though.
Cloud9 also has more cash than we assume here. They just entered the league. They're fresh. They're not beaten and battered
Didn't
by the
Cloud9
CDL.
also say they're not just going to go ruthlessly spending cash?
Everyone says shit, man.
Cloud9 are notorious for that too. They literally done it to I think it was the best Valorant player or some shit like that. They didn't pay him what he wanted, so they just let him go.
All I'm saying.
Oh, yay. Yeah.
Yep.
All I'm saying is that if there's an opportunity here, whether Scrap fights himself off of his contract or a buyout has to happen, the potential that I would see, the ideal New York team that I would like to see would be Scrap, HyDra, Kleenex, and Sib. That's the 4 I want to see. I think that's a team that could compete with OpTic and FaZe. Anyone else, any other combo, if Friendship Cheese happens and you keep Kiz, Skies, and HyDra, what 4th could you put in there that's going to beat OpTic or FaZe? Doesn't make sense.
Cloud9, I'm going to say this right now. Cloud9 are not paying for Scrap. They had the best Valorant player and just said, all right, fuck it. Don't go.
But things are a little bit different now because
No.
the World Cup's come along and, you know...
There's more money in
And
Cloud9.
then there's a bit more cash. I don't
Will
know.
they sell? Would Cloud9 sell HyDra if a right price come about? Yes.
Would Cloud9 sell HyDra?
Yeah.
But does
Good
Toronto,
question, really.
does Toronto have the money to pay for that?
This is what Johnny... This
Everyone,
is my point.
everyone
Johnny
has the
says.
money. It's
I
just if
actually
they're dumb
think-
enough to pay it.
Will you spend it?
If you are dumb, in my opinion, if you're dumb enough to spend, I'm gonna throw a number out there for Scrap, 500 to 700K.
Sensible.
If you're dumb enough to spend that money,
Right. Wait. But think. Okay. Wait. Let me,
with salary included, when you can just wait a year.
But who pays more? Right. If these teams want to get better, they want guaranteed success. Cloud9 has more of a reason to want to be successful immediately. They just enter the esport. They don't want to be shit. But more, Scrap's buyouts probably you said 5 to 7. HyDra's buyouts probably closer to that's higher. Probably $1 million.
It's probably the same if we're judging them value player for player.
I think higher.
No, if we
HyDra, I think HyDra's
to
higher.
Cloud9, yeah, but Scrap to Toronto is literally content, the face. He's going to be the face of the league with Shotzi. He's worth more in that aspect.
It's interesting. It's definitely interesting.
Scrap has more worth to the whole league and a league team more than HyDra does.
I agree with that.
Let me throw a hypothetical your way then. Let's say Scrap and HyDra can't leave. Okay, no matter what, they're stuck. What do you do if you're New York? What do you do if you're
Well,
Toronto?
okay, this is the point, right? Because as people in the chat are saying, and I actually agree that this is the solution. If you want to be OpTic or FaZe, you probably have to just go from a 4-team league to a 3-team league.
Yeah, 100%.
And then you're basically by... Because if you look at Skies and Insight and Kismet and like Envoy, they're kind of on some level, maybe not Envoy to some degree, but some of the weaker players of the top 4 teams. So you get rid of those and you concentrate the talent even more. then you have a 3-team league. Plus maybe Thieves. That's like my optimism about next year, that if this does happen, that it doesn't just become a 3-team league, but actually maybe Thieves keep getting better.
But
let's say they are stuck.
Ocho saying in the chat, trade Kiz for Kleenex. It's still...
But why
it's still FaZe, OpTic, and then them two fighting for it.
Trade, though?
No, that's what I'm saying. That doesn't make any of the teams better.
Yeah, this is what I'm thinking. Like, if you're Cloud9 and you can get Insight for Skies...
That's an upgrade.
Like, I think I'd do it.
That's an upgrade in my opinion.
I think I'd do it, but like, does it make their team consistently winning events?
Kiz for Kleenex is a much bigger upgrade than Skies for Insight.
Yeah, but he said Envoy.
Where's Envoy now? He said trade Kiz
for Envoy. I mean,
well, he's trying to take
Ocho, you were on point, and then you switched it to be not on point. Baby. Come on, man.
No, there's no.
What he means is bringing Kiz into.
There's no way in hell anyone's trading Kiz for Kleenex.
Yeah.
No. I'm not saying that's a great decision by a team, but throw some money with it as well. Then it's possible.
Kiz
also won't trade Kleenex. Well, okay, for Kiz.
Kiz is an OBJ player. Listen, I'm gonna be real. There's not an OBJ player in these games.
Ultra will make changes. Trust.
I mean, we got some intel, didn't we? Yeah.
I mean, it's plausible that Toronto make changes. There are, potential, implications.
They just got, what did they get at Champs? Like top 6?
I mean, they came top 3 at Champs.
Top 3 at Champs, sorry.
But they lost to 100T at Champs, and now they come into this tournament.
Wait, 100T, that might be their code tonight.
Low key. But they got through a group. Ultra didn't even look that good against Boston, to be fair. And the rest of their group was shit. And then, they had to beat Stallions or whatever. And then they lost 100T again in the bracket.
Is there any players from the bottom 8 that get pulled up? Considering the situation so odd, star players are stuck. In that hypothetical, are there any Nero?
To a top 4 team?
I just don't see
Nero, Gwyn gets bought out, Attach, Slasher comes back in. Is there anyone that can come in that could help them? You know what I'm saying? That's the real question then. If we can't make trades... Either one.
Trei didn't scrap say himself if
Abuza
maybe.
If Ultra don't make grand finals, they're shit. I mean, Scrap would say if they don't win the event, they're shit.
Yeah.
But they genuinely had the easier bracket.
Well, so what the fuck's going on with this bracket, right? Because I realised I've had this on the screen for a while, and the bracket ain't even... Oh, that's the wrong one. The bracket ain't even real. Like, it goes the wrong side. But
yeah.
But yeah, like, Ultra had an easy bracket, basically, because they would have played Surge. Or Ravens, and they bottled it. So yeah, Ultra are going to make changes because it's also obvious that you have to, because OpTic and FaZe, OpTic won 2 events this year, including Champs. FaZe won 2 events this year, including EWC. Clearly the 2 best teams, clearly the teams to beat. Ultra clearly can't do it. Cloud9 clearly can't do it consistently.
Yeah.
So you can't rest on your laurels.
Attach for Insight, I'm pretty sure from what I know, Attach would probably stay on Vegas because they don't want to let him go because he signed a 1+1.
There's some bullshit with Attach in Vegas, possibly.
Yeah.
See if that goes anywhere.
There could be a little buyout where Vegas take it.
So it's very early days.
30K. A reasonable buyout for some of these. That's why I'm asking about these lower guys, right? Because their buyouts reasonably aren't going to be 500K. A team will pay, Cloud9 will pay, Toronto has the money to pay something around 100 grand or less for a lot of these players. So,
well, you see, that's my thing is if you're not paying... Does a team care if then are they going to pay 30, 40, 50K for a player if they're not going to win?
You improve your chances.
Yeah, but you're sat there, you spend 50K, you make champs, but you ain't winning. Is that really a?
Is that really that worth it?
Yeah,
I mean,
when you can just wait a year and get the same player. This is my thing about if Scrap and HyDra have this master planter team, but they can't make it happen, physically can't make it happen. Don't sign a contract. Don't re-up your contract and then see where you end up next year. But you do that, but that also allows you to be in play for an OpTic fuck up, a FaZe fuck up, where those positions could then open next year too.
Yes, you got to be tactical. It's very tough.
If I'm Scrap or HyDra or something like that, I'm going to sit there and think, right, I've got a nice contract. I don't need to re-up it. I'm a fucking insane player. Anyone's going to want me next year, regardless, because I'm that fucking guy. If I can't make it happen this year, fuck, I'm just going to have to wait till next year. But that next year allows you to open up, you're still going to be on a top 4 team. you're still going to have the best players around you that can compete against FaZe and OpTic because they all won an event this year.
Yeah.
Then you re-up yourself to like, then you leave the option open for yourself next year to be like, all right, if OpTic has a bad year, I could be on OpTic. If FaZe have a bad year, I could be team with Simp and Abizi.
Here's my only one asterisk to that one. In my opinion, HyDra is a staple piece and going to be a continuing piece of Cloud9. I don't think necessarily he's of the thinking that he wants to hit an OpTic or FaZe because of the ore, because of the glory of that. I think the bag he's getting being on New York, I think he's going to be on New York for a long time.
I don't think
if they can form a team around him.
But he literally just tried leaving for OpTic last year, so I think
he was going to try and do that.
I think that
very special scenario. Very special scenario.
I mean, that just proves to me that he's not loyal.
These top guys that all want to win, bro.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck where they are.
It's the same with Shotzi. Shotzi was going to go to FaZe.
Shotzi said he was going to go to FaZe. He didn't know. There's no loyalty in this shit. They all want to win.
I mean, going from OpTic FaZe, different story. I think just there's a big enough bag in NY that.
I mean, from the bag that we heard he was going to get on OpTic too, he was getting more money on OpTic.
I don't disagree with.
No, that's not true.
No, what I'm saying is he's going to go to OpTic, and then he went back to Cloud9.
And they gave him 500k.
Yeah.
And then they gave him the bigger bag, yes.
Something like that. But I don't disagree, but it's the same thing with Thieves, that I think that Ghosty's going to stay on Thieves as 99%. Like, for two reasons.
That's 100%.
Okay, well, 100. That's 100%. Ghosty's staying on Thieves. Deal probably done. Couple of reasons. First of all, the team's improved. Can actually show that that's the way to be, like that's the place to be. FaZe aren't changing. Reason 2. And then third reason being there's no clear upgrade. Like if you're Ghosty, why would I go to Cloud9 or especially to a team like Toronto when I just beat those cats? I'll just come top 2 at the,
You see, his thing is that like, this is what I'm saying. He could have held off on a re-sign or something like that, and then maybe played with HyDra this year.
Yeah. Well, this is the point. What I was kind of saying is that with Ghosty, Thieves have managed to prove to him on some level that they're the place to be. And it actually is a future.
I don't hate
HyDra needs to get the same shit from Cloud9. Because if you're HyDra on Cloud9 and your team this off-season does not take... Like, if Cloud9 aren't trying to get scrap, if I'm HyDra, I'm like, all right, when can I leave? Because...
But that's my point.
If Cloud9 aren't going to take it serious to beat OpTic and FaZe, then HyDra has to think about whether he stays here.
Yeah, but that's my point. How serious, like, bro, 500 700k.
No, I know it's insane, but like,
especially when you have to give that player like 400 or 500k salary too on top.
Yeah, but if I'm HyDra and I'm seeing Cloud9 not have that conversation, I'm being like, what the fuck are we doing?
The conversation's 1,000% going to be had. 1,000.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. Like, OpTic and FaZe did not buy these players.
OpTic FaZe what?
OpTic and FaZe did not buy these players.
I mean, we heard from Pred that FaZe was putting up the numbers to buy him.
That's what I'm
saying. They were gonna do it,
but Seattle rejected it.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
But I'm saying the possibility is there because the need is there.
It's like the same way with like trades and shit like that.
I think Toronto and New York are desperate. I think they're truly desperate. Those rosters are back against the wall, desperate right now. It's about to collapse.
I mean, Thieves cooked that shit.
Yeah, you got cooked by a team all year that's been in shambles until the last 2 events, basically.
I know they threw up the money, but what I'm saying is like, if Seattle aren't selling, then like, that's why players aren't getting bought. We had this discussion before. Like, if the money is that they're still throwing up and they're still not selling, like, are they really gonna let that player go?
I see what you're saying.
Like,
I do.
If they got the money for scrap, are they gonna sit there and be like, yeah, fuck it, we're selling? I feel like scrap is worth more than that to them than just the money.
Because what he brings, of course.
I mean, bro, you sell scrap, what are you going to get? You sell HyDra, what are you going to get?
That's exactly the conversation of this league's going to turn into a 3-team league very soon.
I just think Scrap's going to be fed up because last year he had a good year.
He's getting costed. He's getting fucking costed. That's all.
I mean, you're 100% right. But also just the way the season went. Like, if you're Cloud9, you won Major 4, you were top 2 at Champs. They're probably still going to blow it up. But if you're Toronto, you won the first event of the season, and since then it's just got progressively worse. And Scrap seeing Pred win a ring, for example, someone that came into the league similar time that he did. So Scrap ain't going to... Like, Scrap this season is tweeting about, love my team, It's been great, and I'm sure that's true on some level.
No, I
But
think that's 100%
that
true.
can't last forever. Like, Scrub is not going to go into next season with a team that's similar to this team or worse and be happy about it. Like, there's zero chance. So Scrub's going to, you know what this guy's like. He's going to kick up a fuss at some point. He's going to be talking to people. He's going to be talking to his agent, whatever it takes, and he's going to be looking at strategies as to whether he can potentially get off this org if that is the thing to do. Because it was a conversation last year and it didn't happen.
And we very clearly see through his streams and stuff like that who he's getting close to. He's very clearly getting close to a certain organization. If you open your eyes, you can tell. So I mean, if you're wise and actually watch COD often and the scene, you know where he wants to end up. Like,
I also
it's very
don't.
obvious.
I also don't like the sound of HyDra, Kleenex, Scrap, and Sib on the same team.
I do. That's fucking phenomenal team.
I think it's like one of
HyDra,
the-
Kleenex, Scrap.
I think it's like one of those teams that's like
Scrap and
way too
Sib.
fast.
That's a phenomenal squad.
No, it's for
Omni
great
movement,
talents.
It could be fucking crazy.
It's for great talents, but
Yeah.
I think you look at the top two teams. You got Cell, who's a little bit slower, and Draza's a little bit faster, and then you got
It's almost like you don't need that much talent.
Yeah.
Like that.
What do we say?
I just think like, well, when you,
that's like them like fuck like let's pick up the four like
I just think
pick
if
up
you-
4 shooters and see how we get.
if you put Scrap and Hyde, I'm saying I like that, but I'm thinking like,
It's
one
too
of
much
those
talent.
players you
Compare
don't
that.
need.
Compare what your statement is to OpTic FaZe.
No, I know they've got
That's
the same
two
talent,
teams
but
full of talent.
No, I actually think I could back this up. Like, if I'm putting Scrap and a HyDra on the same team, like, I can have one of Kleenex or Sib. I feel like my fourth player needs to be someone who's a little bit more stable.
need a
bit more
priest, though.
leadership. Yeah.
Get me Scrap and HyDra, and then give me 2 players that aren't fucking rapid as fuck.
Yeah. Almost like I
I think you only need one player that's not rapid as fuck.
No,
If I could have Scrap and Kenny,
That's why I said that's good.
I'd fucking do it.
Kenny's not fast as fuck.
Kenny can play literally any way he wants. He can be a main.
Give me
played like that
Scrap,
before.
HyDra, and you can give me Kleenex too with that. But I don't.
Yeah,
think-
that's what I'm saying.
I love Sib. You know I love Sib. I think he's fucking unbelievable. I just think Scrap, Sib on the same team is like.
I think you're asking for trouble with Scrap too.
I think you're going to go a bit too rogue.
I think they make it work. To be honest, I think that team is the only team that you can form with what's
Really?
available to do something.
I think you need a slower player in there. Like
Then you get attached.
Well said,
I'm
bro.
alright with that.
Respectively, then the only player that's actually worth it, a world champ, leadership, has time with them, and is still shooting back, will be attached or slasher. That's it. Legends.
Slasher.
You need to bring in.
I'm
Legends.
okay with Slasher, Scrap, Kleenex, HyDra.
Yeah, you need to bring in a
That's
Legends.
fucking nice.
That's a good
That's
team.
a fucking good team.
That's a good fucking team.
Okay, if Cloud9,
cooking, baby!
if Cloud9 could form that team, they Toronto blow it up because they're mentally compromised. Scrap forces his way out somehow, so his buyout isn't as much. Cloud9 come in, they bring in Scrap, they bring Slasher back. He's a free agent, no problem at all. Kleenex is obviously there. We form it with HyDra, and we say, all right, we're going to take on the big dogs.
Sib will slow down if he has Scrap. See, that's my point, bro.
We don't want him slowing down.
It's
I don't
the
want
same
him slowing
shit with
down.
Cell. Like, bro, Cell was one of the best players in the world on Black Ops 4 and then in MW2.
Yeah.
Not MW2, sorry, but I'm just saying MW2. And in this event, we actually saw him speed up a little bit, and look what happened.
Godlike.
MVP, fried like a motherfucker. And then
did.
everyone was saying to me, oh, Trey, you'd be like, that's only one match. No, go watch back the whole event and compare it to champs, compare it to his major performances, and show me how faster he was playing this event compared to the majors. And I'm spitting facts because
No,
I
you're
spoke
spitting
to
facts.
people that work with him directly, and they said, yeah, like that was the conversation we had with him.
Yep.
Like, it's just...
We're GMing for free. For the free. We're GMing right here for free.
I mean, I did do a tweet yesterday saying that I'm looking for coaching opportunities, and
He did say that.
I could build a very good fucking roster.
I'm just saying, man. We do this shit for free, and go ahead, Cloud9. Take it and run with it, please.
People are saying Cloud9 got to get Clay.
Cloud9 got to do what?
Clayster. I think I'm kind of past the Clay thing. I used to be on this, like,
What are we talking about now?
A couple of years ago, I used to be on this, like, oh, Clay's like the leader that the team needs and stuff, but I don't buy anymore, personally.
And just on pure facts, guys, the league is more than 50% online. He's terrible online. Done. Sorry. You need
Clay to Clayster.
I don't want to say he's terrible online. He just doesn't care.
same thing. Potato.
You give me a LAN league. You give me a LAN league. Yeah, I'll take Clay.
Yeah. Okay. You give me a land league.
You give me LAN league, and then I'll go. You give me LAN league. I'm taking Clay, and then you You hear Clay online compared to LAN, and online he's like, there's one behind me, one behind. I'm like,
The team still sounded the same without Clay, to be fair. They did that one listen in that they had.
Oh, they sounded horrendous.
They literally sounded the same as when it was Clay.
They were
it's a triple DSG. I'm like, come on, bro.
It was fucking abysmal.
Yeah. Should we talk about OpTic now?
Yeah, let's go on in the bracket, right? So we've talked Cloud9, Toronto. We'll do OpTic now before we get into like discussing Thieves and FaZe, and we'll close out the show.
Thieves, FaZe, OpTic.
So at the end of the day,
Latino.
OpTic lost one.
What'd you say? Latina.
I didn't do anything.
OpTic lost one series this tournament to FaZe, the team that's beaten them all season long anyway, right? I think this is the interesting thing for OpTic is that they've lost 7-1 this year to FaZe. They didn't have to play them at Champs. FaZe did not play as well at Champs as they did here. There's no doubt about it. I think for OpTic, they can't be too disappointed with this. They finished the season. They were still the winners of the season. They won Champs. They won another event. FaZe won Major 2. They won this event. I know that Ben will say 1A, 1B. And I honestly don't think that's too unjustified because FaZe also had an absurdly good regular season.
Yeah.
Like, it was as good as their Cold War season.
Record.
It was record-breaking.
Record-breaking points.
And this is the thing. I made the point on the show a while ago that this, I think, was the best FaZe team, even maybe better than their Cold War FaZe team. And, I know what I saw with my own eyes, and I know that they didn't play that well towards the end of the season compared to what they needed to. But I think FaZe clearly realized this is what they're capable of. And this event actually proved perfect for them because they were able to go home, regain. My understanding is, we talked about it on the show the other week about the behind-the-scenes drama. People were speculating, what did that mean? What were we talking about? What sort of behind-the-scenes drama are you discussing? It's the girlfriend stuff. It's the Drazah stuff. It's whatever's going on behind the scenes. And there's been numerous stories that have been floating around as to what has actually been going on there behind the scenes at FaZe. My understanding is a lot of that has now been resolved. In the period after Champs, conversations were had, and lots of the friction that seemed to be getting in the way of their chemistry off the stage has been put to bed. And maybe in some part that's shown in their gameplay, I don't know. So I think hearing that, seeing their performance, they ain't going to do anything. This is the team, and they're confident they're the best team in the world, and they can continue to be that way. And this tournament, it was just brutal.
I'm happy that FaZe won just because Rostermania isn't as fucked.
Yeah, it doesn't get us crazy. Which is, but for better, for worse.
Yeah, content-wise, but I'm strictly talking bro, I don't want to sit here and see fucking 4 different teams again.
Yeah.
I like the 2 fucking mix-ups, and when you see if FaZe lose this event, let's say OpTic win this event, FaZe lose this event, then a big fuckfest happens. But now we're going to see 2 teams in Ultra and Cloud9 that are potentially going to pick up someone from the top 8 lower teams.
Yeah, maybe
But they might have to crazy blow it. This is my point, is if FaZe had lost this tournament and FaZe maybe looked to make a one-man change, they play as they did at Champs, they bomb out, we get maybe FaZe, Ultra and New York also making small changes. But in this case, it's quite clear that OpTic and FaZe are levels above those other teams.
Yeah.
And therefore, Toronto and Cloud9, if they want to try and win, they have to sit. You can't make a one-man move. You've got to make 2-3-man changes if you're trying to win.
I will say one thing too. To Rab, one of the point Rab said, this FaZe team, as in its current state that won this chip with Cellium playing the way he is absolutely the best team that FaZe has ever created. This team now going into Black Ops 6, to me, is the best team that's into that game. I think right now in this state with Cellium playing the way he is, they're the scariest team. They're better than OpTic. And y'all might hate me in the chat for that one, but that's just a fact of the matter.
Just look
it's a conversation we're going to have in the offseason.
Just look at his stats when he was fucking running.
With him moving the way he is now in a Treyarch game, I'm concerned for the rest of the league now. All these guys in a Treyarch game.
Look, they clearly had a conversation phase about Cellium's playstyle with respect to his pace, because we know what Cell can do. We talked about it on the show. This is why I've been so critical of Cell.
A team of the motherfucker.
No, you were talking about the mechanics. You were telling me about you played with them. You literally played with them.
I think you guys can say it's a hot take or whatever like that. I don't think what I said yesterday. I don't think he's. I don't want to say he's because Shotzi's literally a movement mastermind.
Yeah.
I think he is closer to Shotzi than a lot of people think with it, how his movement is around the map and how he can play. I think he is closer to Shotzi than pretty much anyone in the league, I think.
Yeah, he's like secondary to Shotzzy to the movement.
I
Mechanics.
think mechanically wise, he is second to Shotzzy and second in the league for how he moves on the map and his game mechanics.
There you go. And again, this is Trei who played with the guy in a
Yeah,
game
like, as I
when
say,
he was moving.
This is why I was so critical of Cell, is because we know what he's capable of, and the fact that this year to me he was like the 10th best player is criminal. Like he should be playing at a much higher level than that. And this was his best event of the entire year, pretty much. But he was playing at pace, and there was one map they played. It was a Karachi hardpoint. Cell was double positive. Simp was like 14 in 10, but Simp had a minute and a half in hill.
Yeah.
Cell had 5 seconds in hill.
So they literally, I know that didn't happen on accident. That's
That did
obviously-
not. That's not.
I just want to say this too. Someone said HyDra. Yes, HyDra and Cell are probably on par.
Yeah, neck and neck.
Neck and neck, whatever like that. I truly do believe, just because Cell runs an AR, that you don't see it as much,
Yeah.
which is fair. But coming from someone who's played with him, played against Shotzzy, played against HyDra, I truly believe Cell is second best in when it comes to movement mechanics in COD.
Yeah, and that's obviously no diss to HyDra. He's obviously right there, right there with them. But like, you just the level of talent is guys that come in. We spoke on it, rookies, right? Like, there's generational talents. Shotzi's one of them. Cell is one of them. HyDra's one of them. Simp is one of them. These guys are generational guys, man. You don't understand the difference in how good they are. Cell's been kind of he unlocked the key to how good he is this event, and that's what I'm saying. Omni movement, next year, Treyarch title, faster paced game. Atlanta FaZe at this event unlocked what they could have been all year, finally.
And hopefully this event has given Cell more confidence to realize that, like, he's that fucking guy again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I do believe he started playing slower just because he lacked a little bit. He's confident in his game, but I feel like lacks confidence in moving up the map. He doesn't want to fuck up. They've gave him a little bit of a, the go button, go do what you need to do. He's not fucking moving like Shotzzy. Like, that's not, like, he's still an AR player.
Yeah.
But he gets a 2-piece now and he's moving up the map.
He's
I
running.
mean,
you
look
know
at
what I'm
this,
saying?
man. Look at the Slayer rating.
Like, that's what we want to see. This guy is fucking. And this is what I was saying to a season. I didn't even have him in my like top 5 because like what he
Let me
done.
just compare this to late champs.
What I didn't have him in my top 5.
Major 4 champs, let's say.
I didn't have him in my top 5 AR players. Or no, I didn't have him in top 5.
Way worse.
I'm saying I didn't have him in my top 5 players. Yes, stats wise he was, but what he done on the map wasn't, in my opinion, impacting the game as much as what someone else would do. This event, we actually saw what impact he has on the map when he's moving around the map, when he's fast-paced AR player, and let me tell you, he was fucking untouchable.
Yeah, everyone talks about Cell, that his gun, it's not his gun skill that makes him the greatest player, it's his positioning. When you have a guy that's moving that quick, that talented, in the best positioning at all times, and then you kind of swap him with Simp. Simp now plays a little more methodical, is the smartest player in the game, making the right play at every time, letting Cell be unleashed and unlocked. That's a dangerous team going into a new game.
It also helped that
Dangerous.
Abizi had one of his best events.
I was about to
this
say,
year.
Abizi would have started this tournament thinking, we win this shit, I'm getting MVP. Because he was right.
He was going crazy.
And, like, for Abizi to play that well and not get MVP just shows how, frankly, dominant FaZe were this tournament. As I say, it was 16-3 map count, I think, they eventually won the tournament with, which is...
Ocho, wasn't Ace defending Cell's 1.3 and saying how a 1.3 is always impactful? Yeah, I did say that, and it is impactful. But there's a way for every player to become a lot more impactful, and they figured it out.
No, you see this 1.3.
This was a
impactful.
serious 1.3.
That's a 1.3 impactful, and you can see it in the gameplay and how they.
It was
play.
genuinely one of the best events from an individual, like, ever.
Yeah.
This is probably top 10 individual performances.
This is on
of
par
all time.
with. This is
Might be better. Might be top 5.
This is on par with a formal champs.
For
You think?
my W.
I mean, like, I was going to mention that. I mean, that's champs, though. But, like, I think, I don't know. It's definitely up there. Like, genuinely one of the most impressive individual performances at an event I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because he was lights out from start to finish. Like,
No, they figured...
But I will say formal edges it.
yeah, formal.
Yeah,
for sure.
100%.
Yeah,
Formal also had a
for sure.
1.44.
For sure. Again, this team just unlocked. Simp making the right play, Cellium free and loose, Draza, absolutely piecing, being a game breaker player, and Abizi pushing through the cuts and being your entry and getting your ones and winning his ones. Yeah, no, I'm personally in my rankings for Black Ops 6 considering the title, Treyarch, The pace of the game, I'm putting them as number one, just barely edging out OpTic for just if I had to do a power ranking right now going to a new game, they would be my number one.
I'm sure it's going to be a conversation.
That is also true. I'm not saying he's stat padded like you're saying. I'm saying Formal's event was definitely better. I'm just saying it was like performance-wise, it was like on par.
No, it's
like,
fucking. He was untouchable. He was looking great.
Yeah, I mean, it was an unreal event from FaZe. Exactly what you like is what you expect FaZe to do. It's what they expect themselves to do. So, they turned up here and just got the job done. Of course, they win the grand finals. It was kind of a foregone conclusion.
Plus 41. My God.
But we've got to talk, and also most damaged by a mile.
Yeah.
But we've got to talk about the Thieves because what a run they had at champs in this event. Look, it was interesting, isn't it? Because early in the season, these guys were bottom of the league with Boston. They were right down there. You guys remember when we were doing the shows and there was a conversation in the chat often about whether they would even make it to champs?
Yeah.
And I was one of the believers. I'm like, they're going to make it. But I thought they'd make it, but not like, they'd scrape in type thing. Like I thought maybe 7-6, whatever. Eventually, they made it quite comfortably. And at the end of the season, they just keep getting better and better. That's the exciting thing about this team is I think individually, with the exception of Ghosty this event, we'll discuss it a little bit, they have all improved throughout not only their careers, but also this season. And it's kind of crazy that Joe Thieves, Kremp, Nasty, if they didn't get on 100 Thieves this year, like, where would they have gone? Who else picks them up?
Nobody.
Like, these are Challengers adjacent players. Like, if Thieves didn't pick them up, they'd have been in Challengers. Joe Thieves was in Challengers this year.
Yeah.
So
he got dropped 2 challenges.
Yeah, he got dropped 2 challenges. I'm sure Ace has a couple of things to say on that.
Absolutely.
So, that's what impresses me about this team is because it shows to Thieves, but also to other teams, that it's possible to get very impressive results like this. Like, these guys walked away with $320,000. Like, okay, they didn't win the event, but that's a fucking payday for an organization that has not been paying crazy more money this year than lots of the other organizations at the bottom part of the league. But they've got good structure, they've got a good GM, they've got a good coaching setup, and they've chosen good talent, and they've got a good leader on their team, and they've been able to progress the way they have from the start of the season to now, which should be a blueprint.
I think the sad thing is that this team's changing.
Well,
yeah, most likely. I think the sad part is that to me, the second sad part to me is that I'm going to assume pretty heavily that J-Cap had a lot to do with the creation, structure, and choices of this team. J-Cap's notorious for a lot of roster changes. What do we see this year? A lot of roster movement, a lot of roster changes. So it's sad to see him go, to see his team and what he's built, and this culmination of the year turn out this way is beautiful. But yeah, the way Rab said is kind of the most eloquent way to put it. It's the blueprint for any team that's below the top 4 of how to create a successful competing team that can actually bring some glory to your organization. It took a lot, but yeah, considering next year, who do we think has to be the switch up, or who do we think the potential switch ups are going to be on this team?
I think you got to look at it like a 2-man change, probably.
2-man, man, that's rough.
I don't want to do it.
Listen. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But
we're trying to win.
There's always upgrades. There's always pack-a-punches.
Yeah.
There's always a pack-a-punch. I don't want to do it, but I feel like Kremp had an amazing event.
Yeah.
Well,
check his overall.
I think he had an amazing event when we called him out.
Yeah, check the overall.
As I called him out, he was kind of cooking.
Yeah. I don't want to say amazing event. He had a decent event.
0.94.
I mean, he's just still very inconsistent.
He had a decent event. But I still think this team has upgrades available. I think they're top 4 at champs and they're second on this event. I think it was very, very I think they overdone their expectations. They didn't expect it. They overshot it. They didn't expect it one bit. It's very impressive what they've done. I just feel like there's upgrades available. But a little bit of biasness. I hope my boy Byron Nasty,
Your boy Nasty did was a great
he was the guy this event, man.
Unfortunately, here's my opinion. Unfortunately, I think he's going to be one of the guys that's a victim to what happens here. I think Abuza is going to be their number 1 target. That's the clear for me. Abuza must. If they're not targeting Abuza, they're tweaking.
I don't know about that, man. I don't like this idea.
Why?
Like, do you really think if a Boozer comes onto this team, they're getting substantially better?
Yes.
I don't buy it personally.
You need
I think-
shooters, man.
Maybe I'm a hater on a Boozer because he blocked me. But it's maybe I have to go on. Maybe I'm just
Can
gonna
you check
hop on
Can you
the.
check Abuja stats?
Maybe I'm hopping on the Abuzer's overrated bandwagon.
Can you check Abuja stats?
I also rate Nasty a lot. I think he makes the correct plays a lot of the time. I think I genuinely felt like Nasty last year, obviously the year before you were with him and he was frying. And then even last year, I thought he was like...
He was frying with me.
Yeah.
I thought he was like a borderline top 20 player over the last couple of seasons. Like he's, in his role, he's like 5th, 6th best in the league. And okay, maybe Abuza's better than that.
And sometimes, I mean, Abuza, I think based on his team...
But Nasty fried his shit this series.
Give me Abuja stats.
No, that's one thing. That's one thing about the Surge team. This is my fear with Abuza. That team enables his KD in matches to look better than it is. This is one fear I do have with him.
They won this event. I mean, look, Abuza's a good player for sure. But I just like, informal.
Yeah, he's not formal.
In terms of what he's going to bring to the team anyway. Like if you're making a change for Nasty, I don't know if I want to do it for Abuja just because like it risks too much with the setup. Like the culture, the chemistry, these other things. Like clearly they've made progress with that.
I can see
imagine
Nasty
Nasty's
and
a part of
Ghosty
it.
going for dinner. I can't see Abuja and Ghosty going
That's
for
what I'm
dinner.
saying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
see
I
that.
don't think I'm ever pulling up to Cheesecake Factory and seeing Abuja and Ghosty having a fucking mojito and, some chicken palm.
Yeah.
Byron on the other end. Him and Ghosty, I could see them too. Because you got to think about team culture too. You really do. That, like...
Personalities, team culture, meshing, how they're going to work in-game, actually, like...
I think that's what we see with Cloud9.
I mean...
Dante is nothing like the other three. He's closer to HyDra than he is the other two.
Really? You sure about that?
This is This is pretty good sources, to be fair.
Yeah, to be fair. I don't know. My thought here is, okay, if you're not going to do the AR, then for a sub, who do you bring in? Nero?
What? Just
Nero
on my
for Krampus?
just on my point of
go ahead.
team, cohesion. Look at FaZe. Look at OpTic. Those motherfuckers are together 24/7 at events.
Yeah.
24/7. They go to dinner together. You see them walking around with each other. OpTic. You see, I walk past Dashy. He's with Kenny. They're always together in some form.
They're friends.
Very good friends.
Yeah.
Thieves also seem to be pretty similar to that in some
Yeah, for
respects.
sure.
And I don't think there's any surprise that there's some correlation there because you've got to believe it's possible to make a run like this.
You've
before
got
it
to want to
actually
be able
happens.
to. You've got to sit there and be able to chill with your team outside the game as well as inside the game.
Yeah, everyone in chat saying that Gwyn should be the guy. I'm a fan if they can get Gwyn, if they can buy him out and pull him over.
This is the crazy shit.
I am a big fan, but
Look at their stats this event.
0.9, 0.98, 0.94.
I told you, nasty girlfriend buff. If you guys want to play well,
Oh,
Get a
I knew
girlfriend.
Ben, hang on.
All good. I mean, the stats are because they got fried in respawns twice by FaZe. That's why the numbers are like this. No? Because
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong, but
Yeah.
also,
I mean, it still holds It still holds fact though.
Dan's not dropping a 0.9 that often. If Dan had, I don't know if Dan getting
If Dan had Papania, then
yeah, he waited
Yeah.
till Sunday to get it. We
Yeah.
didn't even play well Sunday.
you got the Arabian hash.
Yeah, the Arabian hash plug turned up.
That was a good little 20% buff, but it's not the 100% Papania buff.
Nah, I mean,
It's not
listen.
there all
I
the way.
mean, you can't expect Ghosty to do it every fucking event. Like he is
Yeah.
by far
But
been
this
their
is the
best
good
player.
thing about this team. Ghosty actually stepped down a little bit, and Nasty stepped up big
I mean,
time.
we joke about it that he
Nasty
didn't have the
jaded
Papan
teams.
because that's like Sib's thing, what he said during the season. But you can't expect Ghosty to fry every
But
single.
scroll down, you'll see exactly like it, bro. With this team, I think we've talked a lot about how good their hard point is, but they finally had an event where you see they went 4-3 in controls, 5-3 in S&D. Isn't sitting on mega on the page sheet, but they were winning important S&Ds, winning important controls, and that was a big issue with the team prior. And I think to your point with Byron especially stepping up. They were way better in control this weekend than what we've seen in Major 2 and Major 3. And that's how they were able to stay in that series with Toronto, right? 1-1. Kind of extend it.
Yeah.
I know they ended up losing that high-rise control, but they did good enough things that they were able to win the high-rise control against FaZe.
I think someone put in the chat about the team options in EWC. If I'm not mistaken, isn't it September?
Yeah, that's word on the block is it's September.
It's always September. I feel like.
It's confusing. I talked to someone in the league, and they were like 2 weeks after champs, and like I think some people just signed short-term contracts, so I'm not really sure what the deadline is on those. I'm gonna try and figure it out this week when I
I
get
think
back.
it's always been September the 8th, I think, for free agency.
No, it's been 2 weeks after champs.
Just know all the discussions, they're all happening already. Just know that. Like,
I mean, yeah, no, there's always this thing of like, don't talk to anyone. Like, you're not allowed to. Motherfucker's been talking 6 months ago.
yeah. Nah, like, whatever people think is like that. Nah, these conversations are already happening. People are talking at the the Hilton here. Like, everything's already happening already. Texts are happening. DMs are happening. Everything's going down.
Yeah, I think there's already a lot of combos going on. I think, as always, the stage in Rostermania that we're in is teams deciding, okay, what positions are we going to target? And they're going to start talking to 4 or 5 people. Those 4 or 5 people are going to have 3 different offers. They may start to combo with other people to make a team of 2 or a team of 3. So this week's all about filling out, like, who's a priority option, where do people want to go, and then the teams will kind of all fall into place. And I think that all that will probably come out. What do you guys think? Probably Friday, Saturday stuff will start leaking?
I think, yeah, give it to the end of this week.
Let people get back to their setups, tell the little challengers friends, and then there you go.
That's where it always comes
Give
from.
it to them end of the season.
That is how it always goes.
Yeah, I'm gonna just give it a few days for people to get back home. It's gonna leak.
People are always like, "Oh, the pros be leaking." I'm like, "No, their girlfriends, their friends, and their challengers friends be leaking, brother." Like,
no comment.
No comments. Absolutely not.
So this is the thing with Thieves, right? We talk about what they got to do because OpTic are staying the same, FaZe are staying the same. Both those teams are better than Thieves.
Can I talk about Joe?
Which one's going to improve? Yeah, the point is, like, if you make a 2-man change, you make a 1-man change. Joe has to stay.
Yes. Okay. I said it from the start of the year. People with promise, like Joe Thieves, like Snoopy even. I know I've been a generational hater on Snoopy, but people with this kind of talent, you got to give them time and the right leadership. And even some of these great, like FC Black, Boston Breach Academy, they have some great coaches that, I mean, in my opinion, should be in the league, at least as assistants or interning or apprenticing and helping out some of these pro teams. Seeing Joe go down to FC Black for a while and seeing his improvement on that team and the confidence he gained from going down and coming back into the league is picture-proof evidence for what I've been spewing from the beginning. You got to get some of these guys in, and if they can't perform immediately, don't be scared to send them down to challengers for a little bit with the kind of promise that he got. They're like, all right, you're not off the team forever. You're on our bench. You're going to go get better. You're going to come back in. We believe in you. We believe in your skill. There's a lot of guys in the league that I think could use this kind of treatment. And I'm not just talking about Snoopy. Shout out Joe Thieves. You're an absolute beast. What you've done in this year to prove yourself and make your worth as a player improve is, again, I love the word, generational.
Well, the issue is that we live in a time where organizations don't want to keep continuing paying the player they've dropped.
Yeah.
So I'll say this, shout out to 100 Thieves, shout out to Nade Shot for keeping Afro, for keeping Joe Thieves on these contracts, for keeping them,
good business. Truly.
I really do respect it when a player that does get dropped or goes into challenges, like Afro, for example, he got sent home, or like he went home, played challenges there, and 100 Thieves paid him to the end of the season.
Yeah.
They kept him on the roster, and I respect that because, yes, I understand that it's a bit annoying that having to fork out the extra money, but you are a professional organization, all right? If a football player does bad in the season and he goes down to the bench, goes play with the academy team, whatever like that, he's still getting paid.
Yeah.
It's a doc salary, whatever like that, but you got to give credit where credit is due, especially to 100 Thieves for this, and I know other teams have done it too, but I'm just strictly talking on this because it's Joe Thieves and Afro. It's nice to see that when a player that does get dropped, they still have the support and, the facilities to, if they are playing well, to come back and still do what they love doing in challenges.
And didn't try to screw him, didn't try to take his bread, and there's a lot of positive things in this entire context with Joe Thieves that a lot of other teams could learn from.
I think the other thing with Joe for me is that his stats are pretty good given his role, but I genuinely think the eye test this weekend for me was really impressive.
Yeah.
Like just watching him play, I thought he's just continuing to improve. And that's the exciting thing as well, that we've had obviously plenty of rookies over the last few years, but a fair few of them have been 20, 21, whatever. Yeah. Like he came in at 18 on Gorillas, like as soon as he was 18 pretty much. This year he's 19. Like he's had a second year, but Gorillas is almost a write-off on some level.
He's a young guy, bro.
Like he's a really young player with lots of potential improvement. So he ain't going anywhere. The only question I want to raise to chat as well is, whether you try and upgrade on Kremp, because while he had a pretty good event, all things considered, and especially after I talked trash, he actually turned up big time, and I respect that. And he does have like the dog in him on some level, like he's talking shit, but bit too inconsistent for my liking. I know the same is probably true for Joe, but I don't know. If there was
Kind of
one
the
man
same
I'm
for
looking
all
at,
of
it's
them
Kremp.
besides Ghosty. Like, they've all had
Yeah.
an inconsistent year.
But you've seen improvement to the end.
I mean, they just
more
got
from
set.
Joe and Nasty.
I'm happy with the improvement they've made as a team in terms of progress. They were deemed not to make champs at one point. They get top 4 at champs, and then they get second this
yeah,
event.
yeah.
That is great progression.
Yes.
Now that leads to the question of, is this progression that you want to keep next year to see where it goes with the same 4 people, which I'm okay with?
Yeah, I don't hate it.
Or do you think there's upgrades available where you can see yourself being, coming second here and thinking, wow, if we had 2 upgrades here, we could have won the event?
My issue here is that most of the best SMGs in the market that are coming, whether it's Nero, whether potentially say Kismet goes to the market, they're not the right pair for Joe Thieves, who's the piece you want to keep, right? He's already the headbang, enabling.
The guy I like is like Gwyn.
Yeah, but I love Gwyn for it too. It's a sensible combo for Joe, but getting Gwyn could be an issue because if I'm Carolina,
Maybe Envoy could do it.
why would I give up my
Back to
my
Thieves.
best piece? Why would I give up my
Also,
my
Thieves,
best guy?
Thieves is like an org that you would
Hell
like. Thieves is like an org you want to be at too.
You're in LA. It's a good org. You're with Nade. You have content support, production support. Your streams get better. Like, yeah, 100%. You want to be
I
there.
don't know.
the only thing
don't know if LA's a
with
Cellium
Carolina is like
It is 100%.
they're not a destination team, and I don't know what Gwen's relationship's like with management, but if you have that conversation with management, like, hey, there's interest out there from teams that are a step up above. I'd like to leave. Management have 2 responses. Yeah, I mean, we're invested in your success. We'd hate to see you go, but we'll talk to Thieves and figure it out. That's kind of old school. And newer school is, it maybe get a little bit dicey, but I wouldn't say it's impossible. Obviously, you'd love to keep him, but if he gets that thing and I want to leave and Thieves are willing to play a buyout, it is what it is. That's business.
BenJ, this is the Ravens we're talking about here. And they got this guy on the criminal rookie contract right now. They're not letting him go.
I wouldn't say it's a criminal.
Nah,
rookie
Ravens
Not
are begging
criminal,
for
but
cash.
like you all of us
Is ever a criminal 50K
I know, but
rookie contract.
if Thieves are if Thieves are willing to pay a buyout, like I'm sure they can potentially negotiate something with Carolina.
I'm
You don't-
If I'm Carolina, I'm saying hell no to anybody.
but you don't. The thing is, you don't want to hold the player.
If I'm under Thieves, I'm saying no to buying the player out anyway.
You're saying you're not gonna buy anybody?
I mean, just look at what's about to happen with Kismet and stuff like that. We all deem Kismet going to get dropped off that team too.
Yeah, you got to play it out. You got to play the cards out.
100%.
Let the dominoes fall.
I'd pick up Kismet.
Oh yeah. But my only worry is that Jonas Steve and him play too similarly. But like, would you take a guy who just won champs a year ago? Yeah, you have to. You absolutely have to.
Bro, if we're looking at Ultra, like Envoy could be on the market, Kiz could be on the market.
Envoy I would take.
insane.
Envoy
It's
getting
insane.
dropped would be psychotic from Toronto.
Envoy on this team would be great. I think a great.
Listen,
Envoy played so good the last 2
If
events.
you could bring him back to
Dropping would be
Thieves,
hilarious.
it would be exciting.
If I'm Thieves and Envoy's on the market, I am calling in about 1 second. You pair Envoy and Joe Thieves.
That's a good combo.
And you say Joe, like keep playing the game you're playing. Envoy's going to figure out how to support you and like play behind you because we want you to be like our version of Ibiza Go Burr, bro. You make that happen with Thieves. I love Kremp. I thought he had a lot of pop off moments this event. He is a little inconsistent. Joe, same thing. But you probably keeps you over Kremp. Like I feel like you make that sub duo work. Oof.
And 100% Kremp deserves to get picked up even if he's dropped. He'll be on another team after he's dropped.
And Gwyn, I love Gwyn, but he was not a good LAN player this year.
Until this event.
But
you live with that though.
That is my concern, but at the same time, I still think I would do it because it's just like you've got to. I think if you're Thieves,
is that
you've
Clay's?
got to try and
is that
improve.
Clay's fault? They got rid of Clay.
Oh.
So this is one of those. This is one of those situations where the players have a feel on who they want to get. But if you're Novus, if you're Shane, and you start to evaluate these players, this is where the fraternity is really important. You talk to coaches on our teams and say, hey, like, we might be looking after this player. And a lot of times, because of that fraternity, people are willing to talk about their players in that context, right? They feel like they're going to leave anyway. They get bought out. Well, here's what I think about the player. Here's what I'm saying. Like they'll split information that way. They can make the right decision. Because I think Thieves have a great position to upgrade their team, but they got to make the right decisions because the last thing you want to do is put on pieces that don't really work, and then you have the same problem at the beginning of next year where it's like, well, this is awkward. We got to make a roster change. We feel like we're not going to qualify for champs, and we got to figure out how to peak at the end.
And let's not forget that Thieves as well are. I don't know if Shane's going to become the head coach, but they're probably looking for a coach as well. So that's another interesting aspect to all this in the choices.
You gotta
And
think.
Euro culture, man.
100 Thieves, Trei Boy Cardi.
Oh yeah. That's
You and Shane would be a diabolical duo.
We'd be a great
That's
duo.
a diabolical duo, bro.
not to cut. Yeah, just to show this as well. But I had some, someone put in something in the chat that reminded me. Actually,
That's too good. Like,
Batman and Robin is shut, dude. You guys are idiots.
This is the three I was looking for.
You guys are idiots, bro.
that's not you guys. That is a Trey Cartier caption. 100%.
That's the other fucking morons.
that's a good picture.
That's a good picture and a good caption.
Now just imagine me
Who
and
took
someone.
that picture?
Just imagine me in a jersey and with my team at an event.
With the
gotta
Lexus
think.
100 T jersey. Woo!
I mean, we can
Kinda
bring
clean,
up my free agent tweet.
That's actually what I was going for.
yeah,
but-
we can bring up my free agent tweet.
Oh, did you pin it?
Below.
below.
Right under it.
Right there.
There you go.
Ah, shit, yeah.
You can read out if you want as well, Rob.
With the season ending, this is my contract up with Breaking Point. Dope check. That being said, I'm
I mean,
looking
we're
for
bringing
coaching
you back, to
opportunities
be
in the
fair.
CDL from BO6. Ready to prove how good I can be if given the opportunities. If any orgs are interested, my email is in the bio. Hit this man up. He can bring massive contributions to your team. 10 years as a pro, obviously done it with the best, played with on FaZe himself. Like, you're trolling by not giving him a call at least.
You gotta think Trey Cartier at Outlook.com is getting some crazy.
Bro, that's got some motion, right?
That's good, so much.
I gotta get you a Gmail, brother. Outlook.com. Shit.
Nah, Outlook.com
Nah,
is
Outlook's
stellar.
the goat.
No, I kind of like that.
Outlook's
though.
the goat one,
I'm on
bro.
that Hotmail shit.
Yeah, I
as well.
love
Jesus
But
Christ.
listen,
that.
Fucking AOL.com.
But listen,
DT
speaking about it,
internet.com.
I don't toot my own horn or anything like that. I've been trying to coach a CDO team even for free this year. I tried doing it too. I tried helping out teams this year. I know. I like I said, I've looked at people how they coach as well, like Daryl, Shane, Crowder, RJ. I look more deeper into it. This isn't just some pay me gimmick. This is someone I want to be a part of. I want to be a part of something bigger. I want to be part of a team culture again. I know I can't compete again, even though
I mean, you're really good.
even though I could, but I want to be a part of a team culture again. That's why I offered to do it for free this year. It's something bigger, something I want to be a part of, and hopefully, let me get some connections, let me get some contacts, some emails out when I get home and stuff like that. But hopefully, given the opportunity,
Prove his worth, man.
I can show you guys that I'm not just a tatted up moron.
That's it. Side note, thanks to
Well
the
said.
100 last thing I have for 100 Thieves. Call up Mac Melts. That's all I have to say.
Mac?
You think Mac?
Do I think Mac? Do I think Mac and Joe Deceives can be a good duo? Yes, I do.
I'm gonna be honest. I love Mac, but
Don't be honest, Ben. Don't be honest.
It's just from a GM perspective. It's just risky picking up someone like that who skipped a whole year. You don't know kind of where he's at with all the reasons why he took a break in the first place. Like how engaged is he going to be, and you just don't know how rusty he is. Like, are we willing to work with
I mean,
him?
we knew why he took a break though.
Yeah, we know 100% why he took a break.
No, I know, but you don't know how much COD he's been playing over that break. Like, is he going to come back and hit the ground running and be productive, or does he need a couple of months? If he needs a couple of months, then him starting on a pro team is just a giant risk when there are probably safer options out there. You don't, again, for Thieves, you ended this year by making it to grand finals. The last thing you want to do is get 12th again. At the first event.
I'm agreeing with Ben here.
I'm agreeing with Ben.
Mac does not deserve to go to a team like 100 Thieves straight off the bat.
I'm just saying.
He's definitely going to have to be a pro, but it's
I think
risk.
I think, does he get a CDL spot if he comes back?
Yes. Yes, he does.
Do I think he deserves a spot on Thieves, who just got second? Absolutely fucking not.
Gringo is making a good point. You bring him on as if you're like, I still think this guy is good.
Yeah.
I need to hedge my team because I want to be smart with our roster construction. Bring him on as a sub. Assuming he doesn't get other pro offers because he'll take those over being a sub.
Sub's not bad. Sub's a good idea for him.
And then let him play challengers for that first event. If he fries, he's undeniable. Some of your team struggles, insta call up, bada bing, bada boom.
I mean, we've got people like
BenJ
Gwyn,
and Nissim.
Envoy, Kismet we talk about. We're not throwing Mac
Yeah.
into the mix with a team that just got second at one of the second biggest event of the year.
Depending on how it all breaks down. That's all I'm saying. Depending on how it all breaks down. Now I think now we can go to
I mean, I think that's about it.
OpTic. We didn't
That's
talk
done
about,
OpTic.
we talk about OpTic?
We don't talk about OpTic.
No, we'll talk about
We
OpTic.
didn't talk about OpTic at all.
Let's talk about.
Well, are we scared to talk about OpTic?
No,
Well, I
I
mean-
like you thought we had done, to be fair.
Nah, I thought we did too.
but
What them?
You guys don't remember what you talked about in this fucking show?
no, we
100% I
talked about
remember.
FaZe
That's what happens,
losing to
Ben.
OpTic. We
It's
talked
crazy.
about
You guys get-
We're lost in the
we talked
conversation,
about
brother.
Dashy
Don't
coaching
talk
out.
about your guys' show.
All right, look, this is Dashy's tweet. OpTic, I mean, look, all we said was OpTic lose. Who cares? They play well. They lost 1 best of 5 to the team that beat them all year. Like, it is what it is. I don't think it's they're still going to come into next year with the same roster. They're still going to be confident that they can be the best team in the game, but they're obviously going to be more aware that it's, it's going to be a close battle with FaZe next year. And,
Is it partially like a major 3 to major 4 kind of like, easing up and not going as hard for after they win the big one?
It's just fucking hard to go back to back.
You know what I'm saying?
It's hard to go back to back when they've done what they've done. If they won a major and didn't win champs, yeah, like you could talk about it. But they just won champs coming into this event. I feel like singular limb, a little bit,
Shotzzy just had
Single lemon, they played a team that they've struggled to beat.
Yeah, this is
all
what I'm
year.
saying. Like, if
It's
FaZe got knocked
matchups.
out or surprised, then OpTic win this tournament.
If OpTic play, OpTic,
Like what happened at champs.
the way top 4 is, and we're gonna put Thieves now in that conversation. Like, it's his matchup. Certain teams have bogey teams. You can get lucky to an extent and play your bogey team twice to get the tournament win. But for OpTic, like, I thought they were playing good for most of this tournament. I thought they played great against New York. I thought they played great in the first map against FaZe. But, the same issues that they've had over the course of the year against FaZe kind of showed in that series why.
I honestly
it's been
feel
a-
like I
it's been
thought
an
this when I
issue,
saw
yeah.
the map set. I just didn't like it for OpTic. It's like what I thought the first 2 maps favored FaZe, and even though map 1 they got pissed on. I don't know why we playing. I don't know. What I said we.
FaZe baited them with the sub-base pick.
I don't know why these boys are playing high-rise search, and the invasion control is whatever, and then the sub-base is like I think if you're OpTic and you kind of see that coming.
You got baited in the pick, bro.
Yeah, and I think if you're OpTic, you've got to know
Hit the
that you're
vetoes.
walking into a little bit of a trap there.
Hit the videos real
I'm
quick.
telling you, if
Yeah,
OpTic don't play a high-rise second map, I think a 3-0 OpTic, 3-1 OpTic comes about
That's
this.
a real hard point. Could have been. Yeah.
I hate OpTic's high-rise.
It's so bad, bro.
Yeah.
It's so
But
bad.
they're so unconfident on Rio search against FaZe, and that's why they keep playing on fucking high rise. But then they don't play high rise correctly to try and counter FaZe, which is annoying
I
me greatly.
understand that, but OpTic aren't good at high-rise versus any other team really either.
Yeah, it's been a weak point of theirs continuously.
It's so odd to me that OpTic is bad. Rio S&D should fit exactly like their team, bro. You can death ball with the 2
I
subs.
think-
Brandon can play the outer lanes on the truck and never die. Like, I just don't understand why their team is unconfident on
I think
that.
I would say I think OpTic are good at Rio, but scared of FaZe.
Yeah, it's FaZe is the specific counter.
Yeah.
But if you're going to play FaZe on high rise, and they
I'm not
barely
playing
lost high rise
FaZe.
this
I'm
year.
not playing FaZe on high-rise either. I'm taking the Rio fuckfest
over
a high-rise FaZe.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of egregious.
OpTic got a bit
decision,
unlucky on that high-rise. Green Cat, I'm going to keep it real with you, bro. They lost like 3 4v2s, and they got Shotzzy got outplayed a
I
lot
don't
on
think
that.
they got unlucky.
Do you want me to pull up the stat sheet so we can walk through like the high rise issues if you guys are interested with them?
Listen,
I'm down to
this
do
is
it,
what
man.
I'll say.
You'll go to all the way.
OpTic,
The high rise issues specifically.
Here's go full screen all day.
OpTic
okay,
are
sure.
extremely criminal on high rise. They lose a lot of 4v2 situations on
Yeah,
that. They
yeah,
get
yeah,
picked
good.
by a lot of stupid reasons. We saw them have another 4v2. Dashy team nade someone.
But like, I literally called it as it was happening. Oh, 3v2, how are OpTic going to throw this one? Pred over Charles for no reason. They're in a 2v2 and they lose it. And in the final round, the 4v2, team nade, all go down.
And I got roasted by a few people in the chat when I said Shotzzy's a little bit predictable on high rise.
He is the same thing. Same two routes. Basically.
He has 3 routes.
You can scroll to the right
and,
here.
and if you
Yeah, you
see,
scroll
and
right.
if you see him
I'll
at
restart the
A,
screen real quick.
if you see him at A on high rise defense,
Thank you,
guess
BenJ.
what? He'll peek you, make you weak, do the little jump up, jump on top of the helipad. Guess what?
So
They
go back-
watch it.
go back
And
to
then, and
left,
then you
right?
also know where
Yeah.
if he's there, you also know where his teammates are watching him from.
Yep.
So it
So
becomes an easy read.
To your point, Rap. So these are stats. Shout out my guy Turtle for this sheet. Great sheet. But it's highlights the problem out there with this map. The average first blood win percentage on this map, and generally most maps, is going to be in the 70%. You see that OpTic not only struggle over the course of the season to get first bloods on that map in the bottom-ish quarter of teams. The rounds where they do get first blood, they only win at a 65% clip. And look at FaZe, bro. They don't scam that often. They scam 10 times, 81 win percent on first blood win percentage. Now, you can scroll to the right and you can look individually, like on offense and defense, and you're going to see, like, they're a decent offense team, but the defense scams are pretty good if you keep going to the right.
Defense scams are pretty
Not only do they
cool.
not get first bloods on defense, they're only winning 54%. 54 is
actually
unacceptable.
criminal.
That's unacceptable.
That's lowest in the league.
Trey, if you were on a team in search where you're like 50-50 when you get first blood, if you're going to 4v3, like...
That's actually shocking because the teams below them, like Ultra, have 57%, but they don't play that map.
Nice. They're
Like,
also fucking horrific at that map.
Of the teams that play that map, because OpTic actually play it for some reason,
They have a lot of. They have the most rounds in it.
they're the worst by a mile.
They won champs. No one gives a shit about their high-rise S&D stats, respectfully, and that is why.
They didn't win this event.
That's why you're.
Well, we're talking
casual.
about we're talking about EWC.
We're talking about a $1.8 million event.
Do you want us to talk about why they didn't win the 600k or not? Like, we agree.
Do you, want,
OpTic won the season.
do you want us to explain why OpTic were bad, or do you just think, or do you want us to say, like, you know what, this event was fucking dog shit, it doesn't matter?
There's also lessons to be learned here for next year, right? Because the same thing could be true next year, that there's one map that OpTic is struggling with. They try and improve on it. They think they've got better at it. They beat FaZe on it at Major 3, but clearly there's still weaknesses from then to the end of the season. And then they decide to do the same thing, and the same result happens again. It's
That's all right, because next year it's just little major.
Yeah, just little majors.
Yeah.
So I guess, there's always lessons to be learned. And if you as a team are not trying to be the absolute best you can possibly be and looking into... Because if you're OpTic, the players are like, okay, whatever. But if I'm the coaching staff or whatever, I'm looking into this event, I'm saying, okay, what could we have done better? What lessons can we learn for next year to be as good as we can?
They need to get better at S&D. Because their major win was purely based on Dashy clutching 1v3s, 1v2s.
Go to the left, Shrab, and then scroll all the way up. So that'll be the overall stats. First off, I think playing high rise with no smoke over Rio is crazy against FaZe. But you see your OpTic's overall S&D stats at the end of this year. They were in a pretty weird spot, but like you see that sort of, to Trey's point, they don't get a lot of first bloods compared to top teams, right? New York and FaZe are in the 50s. You see that OpTic has slowly improved their first blood win percentage over the course of the year, but you'll go on individual maps, and to Trey's point, like Invasion, for example, they aren't like the world's most incredible offensive team on Invasion, but their defensive stats are very good, to the point of like Brandon kind of helped build them out in a lot of search situations. But I think the biggest thing they need to do in S&D next year is have a better plan B in a lot of these maps. What makes FaZe so good at search, New York so good at search, is when shit is not working, they mix it up, they do different things. Bro, in the high-rise S&D, for example, you could tell that FaZe was hard reading a lot of the stuff that OpTic was doing, and OpTic really just didn't have a counter to them. And that has happened 3 to 4 different times this year in that matchup.
I called it, but some people were saying Shotzi's elusive, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers elusive.
But this is why I say OpTic need to be better at S&D. Look at the win-losses between the top teams in S&D. Look at the top 4 S&D. Look at the top 4 S&D teams. Look where OpTic stand in between those.
Yeah, they're below Rocker.
Okay.
Well, part of this is because they lost like 10. To be fair,
You understand what I'm
they
saying?
lost 10 S&Ds in a row.
To be the best team in the game,
It's
and they won champs. Like they're still
Yeah.
the best team in the game, in my opinion. Even though FaZe won this, like
Yeah.
you gotta be a better S&D team. You have to.
Oh, we skipped.
No, that's on Twitch's side. We didn't drop any frames. Yeah, I think, look, at the end of the day, if you're OpTic, you still won 2 events, W season. But if you are thinking about next season and you look at your team comp, S&D is constantly going to be a thing you're going to have to work on. Like, that is their weakest game mode. Respawn, they're a very good respawn team. We know the hardpoint's going to be good. The control's going to be good. The S&D matchup against some of these other top teams, it's how they're going to lose some of these events.
Stand on top. This right here, that 64 win percentage, and considering how this year's closed out, is specifically why I'm saying FaZe, to me, are the best team going into next year because they don't have a weakness.
And
now that Cell is how he is.
This is quite impressive
As well.
And if you need to up your coaching staff for S&D, like FaZe have, look at FaZe's coaching staff. It's incredible. They invest in it.
It's a trifecta.
Rob, you want to see you scroll to right?
They invest in it. They got Crowder, they got RJ, and it was like, oh wait,
They're
we want to
playing
be at
with
S&D. Let's pick
and
up
retake
the GOAT.
Let's pick up the GOAT of S&D over the past, however many years.
A lot of years.
And that's it.
Dog Lord.
And that's how you can sit there and think, oh, do coaches do anything in this aspect? You look at FaZe and think, fuck yes, they do.
Yeah, they do. Absolutely.
They do, but as you know, Trey Search, like coaches going to do so much about, and why I think FaZe is a strong team is just their S&D fundamentals. As a team are very good on retakes and post plants.
It'll start.
Yeah.
Performance coach.
Matt Fisher.
Yeah.
Matt Fisher.
Also, FaZe have a performance coach named Matthew Fisher who also got brought on. So they have 4 coaches actually.
Well, he works at a bunch of other teams. But
He works with other teams. I'm just saying they invest.
They also
As Trey
invested
said,
in that.
they invested in their players and their coaching staff, and the difference it's made is unbelievable.
And you are correct.
Observation.
Tupac isn't controlling their S&D. He'll help him. He'll do
Yeah.
that. But in-game, mid-game adjustments, plan Bs, plan Cs, that's why they're so good at it.
Absolutely.
But investing in that S&D coach to even just start him off with a break off or something like that.
Yeah.
Grenade spots.
Get them the confidence off the
we
rip.
know Pac's one of the best grenade spot users of all time.
Yeah.
He's been doing it since God 4.
Yeah.
World at War.
Absolutely.
You know, that's what I'm talking about.
They just do, and them in New York in particular, I think, are the nerdiest search teams. Like, if you watch them play, nade spots instantly off the rip of the season, stun spots. They know all the timings. They know how to adjust. Yeah, every team's eventually going to hit a part of the season where their tactics are not clicking. They're getting hard red. They got to mix it up. But I kind of agree with Ace when I look at the OpTic FaZe matchup right now, personnel wise. I think FaZe is more suited to win that matchup long term because it goes to a Game 5 S&D. I have more confidence in them winning that matchup than OpTic in that Game 5.
All right, got to take, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. He's sitting back. He's comfy
You got to
right
think,
now.
right? The World Championship after Major 4. OpTic, terrible Major 4. They come into champs. Who's coaching them behind the scenes?
Lamar.
You got to think Lamar made the difference for champs. They come into the World Cup. Guess what happens? Lamar's playing again. They ain't getting no use for Lamar. Lamar isn't here. Okay, he's here, but he ain't working with the team. So you got to think that that OpTic need to level up in that category. So I'm just saying, if I'm looking at top coaches for next year to be picked up, I'm looking at Cartier, number 1, and I'm looking at Lamar, number 2.
I like that. I like that.
That's good work.
Nah, this is why I said we had this conversation about it. Like, it's same for Clay, same for Lamar. If you're not ready to retire, don't do it. But if he's ready and he's once again the coaching aspect, OpTic Lamar next year. It's already signed. It's done deal.
I think Lamar, Karma, and JP would be a good trifecta.
Yeah.
I actually think it would be pretty ideal.
I don't know. I don't know. What Rab's saying sounds nice. I don't know. What Rab's saying just sounds good to me.
I do like
know.
the ranking as well. Me at 1, Lamar at 2.
I don't know about that one, but I just know. I don't know. So, hypothetically, someone won champs with using. I don't know. So I don't know.
Listen, I see the vision for OpTic to your point. Like, Lamar, the Ken, AG, he knows what motivates those guys. He knows their weaknesses. He knows their strengths. He can help come in and kind of focus a lot of, let Damon deal with part of it, and then you can kind of focus on the individual coaching with those two players.
And then JP also.
I mean,
JP will give the data to
Franco did just speak facts, though. I mean, whatever Lamar thought then couldn't go away after 2 weeks.
Yeah, but you weren't here with the team.
I mean, to be, again,
You weren't there with the team for champs either. He's with us.
we have to consider that always that with the top 4 that there's a lot of matchups, and that FaZe has had OpTic's number most of the season, but FaZe couldn't beat Toronto. OpTic has had a great chance against New York all season. They played them twice at champs, but they've struggled against FaZe. You know what I'm saying? Like, there is a cyclical top 4 thing, and if you get the right matchup, I'm not saying there's an element of luck to these events. You still got to pull up and win, execute your tactics, and we've seen most of the top 4 teams beat all the top 4 teams. But I just think for OpTic, as good as their respawn map pool was, and as great as I think they played respawn at champs and at this event, I think that vulnerability in S&D. This kind of is a reason that they lost in a single limb best of 5 against FaZe, a team they've lost a lot of searches to this year. It just is what it is with this format.
Absolutely. Well,
All right, chat.
I wouldn't overthink it too much if you're an OpTic fan. Like, I think OpTic FaZe battle next year is still going to be good.
It's going to be neck and neck. It's going to be up and down, as it always is. Guys, listen, we've been at it for almost 2 hours now. It's the end of the year. It's the last event. But let me give you some shining light at the end of the tunnel. In about a week and a half, we have the Black Ops 6 beta, not too far away. Giveaway. We have some codes to give away and such as well. So keep your eyes on the Breaking Point Twitter for that. It's been an incredible year from top to bottom. We brought you guys Dope Check, 32 episodes in, an amazing time with some of the greatest lads I've ever been next to. Ben, of course, as well. Thank you for joining us for this episode and a previous episode as well. I love you guys. Thank you for all the support. What we've done this weekend is record-breaking in terms of numbers. So thank you for all the support, the subs, and Trei's stream and my stream. Obviously, the views on Rab's videos, everyone that's been in here watching with us, and Ben's stream as well. We love you guys, man.
Shout out FaZe.
Shout out FaZe for bringing us to this event and coordinating with us to bring us here. Shout out EWC. Shout out CDL. Shout out all the teams. Shout out the people who've made this all possible. From Rab, from Trei, from myself, from Ben, from everyone else. We love you. We'll see you. And we are out. More Dope Check episodes coming in the coming weeks as well. Don't you worry.
Don't you worry.
Don't you guys worry. More content.
Take care. Like the video.
We'll see you guys soon.